Michael from Retroblasting returns as we talk a little Shang-Chi and why does the name Avi Arad keep coming out? We'll get into that and a little bit more this morning on Midnight's Edge in the Morning. Monday morning. How's everybody doing out there? Well, it's afternoon in the boss man's land. How are you doing over there?
Oh, I'm pretty good. It's been a lovely, sunny, early spring day, or like a pre-taste of what summer might be like. So yeah, all good and well. How about yourself?
Doing the best I can. I'm still trying to get over the shot, but other than that, I'm doing okay. But also with us is Retroblasting's own Michael. How you doing?
Not bad. How are you guys doing?
Well, hanging in there.
Well, we're much better now that you're here. Always a pleasure to have you here, Michael.
It's always a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to some of these topics. There's some stuff going on.
Yeah, there is indeed, and we'll get into all of that. But before then, what stuff's going on with you? Like, what recent videos should people check out over at your channel?
Oh, well, I just finished Kathleen's Fire Hose of Fun, which was a video that couldn't have been more appropriately timed by Kismet. It's a video all about everything that Disney Lucasfilm has done, the decisions they've made that have led to the situation that we find ourselves in as fans now. Has a big not cliffhanger, but a big ending that I was inspired by V for Vendetta. So I filmed that, got that finished about a week ago. And now I just finished the next installment of Star Wars Follies, which is a video series that we do about the vintage toys. That's going to be on Analog Toys. That's the first Star Wars Follies premiering on Analog Toys. And now I'm, sort of like resetting the studio and getting ready to do a bunch of other videos this week. So I'm sort of laying the groundwork for new productions. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Very cool. And in terms of our own productions, we're all getting ready for Midnight's Edge Espanol. That's going to be launching very, very soon. And until then, we are joined in very, very good company, not only by Michael from Retroblasting. We have our regular mods in the chat, like Natasha. And we also have a good choice of a chunk of regular guests. We have Stephanie Janisek Smuggler's Cantina here. We have Nocturnal Creature who says, "Hail Midnight's Edge." And to which I say, "Hail one, hail all. Thanks for being here." Mega Man X says, "WTF." So, yeah, a good start for today. And Fractal Jack says, "Monday, damn it." Yeah, well, or Blur's Day, one of many, many to come. We also have a few super chats, not in chronological order, but order in which I can get to them. We have saying, "Hi, gents. Hello, everyone." Well, hello to you. And Sandra Hammerslag is looking forward to today's main topic by saying, "Subvert expectations by offing Rian Johnson." And yeah, well, let's not do that. Let's not go quite that far. It'll be quite sufficient not to see his movies anymore.
I wouldn't mind if his career tanked. That would be fine.
Yeah, that would be perfectly okay. Yeah, and Bertrand Kurt Russell says, "Hail Midnight's Edge. Happy belated birthday, Andre." Well, thank you so much. And Dash D says, "Hail all, hi retro. Totally love the Fire Hose video. Morning, Tom and Andre. Glad to see you've recovered from the party yesterday. Thank you for sharing it." Yes, indeed. And Thank you, Tom, for hosting it and putting it together. Like, I literally didn't know we were doing a birthday stream until like 15 minutes before we went live. To those wondering where it is, the entire 4-hour stream featuring the likes of Doomcock, Nerdrotic, Razorfist, Undoomed, and many, many more is up in Midnight's Edge live archives. And Stephen Otten says, "Hail Tom, Andre, Michael, Wrenches, and everyone in the chat. I love my cat. Today I'm not affiliated with him."
I have those days.
Yeah.
Today was one of those days. Asshole woke me up and he's like, "I want my supper." And I go downstairs and I'm like, "You still got supper?" He's like, "Oh, yeah." But I'm not
Nice
going to eat it. I'm just going to bat it around here till you give me some new stuff.
And Roger H sent us a super sticker, so thanks for that. And then we have, let's see, from Martin Sulmoni. He sent us 50 Swiss ranks. So thank you so much for that. Really, really appreciate that help in keeping our lights on. And he says, Tuesday and Thursday are sad days. No Midnight's Edge in the morning.
Well,
thank you, guys.
There is, though, and we plan on starting this up again soon, so I guess it would be like a new season of. On Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. Central, we are going to be kicking back off with Midnight's Edge After Dark. So that will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays opposite. But in the morning time, Andre, if you want to take the reins on this, or I can, as far as Midnight's Edge Espanol, they'll be broadcasting on the opposite days, correct?
Yes, that is the plan. That is the plan. So there will be Midnight's Edge content coming to you every single day, almost. Maybe not Sundays. That's going to depend.
Yeah, Saturdays and Sundays we try to keep
on what happens.
I try to do something on After Dark on the weekends, but just trying to be able to do Tuesdays and Thursdays might be more than enough for me. So there we go. Yeah. Thank you for that, Martino. It does help keep the lights on. And I think we had a couple more super chats before that as well.
We do have a couple before. I'm going to see what I can bring up on screen if I can access more than you. Yes, I can.
Cool.
Hypergiver 2 says Roundhead Rian Johnson shouldn't even be allowed to direct traffic, let alone another entry into the Star Wars universe. Go subvert yourself, you troll. But many people feel that way. And then, going back even further, we had Panzerkrok, who says for $20, thank you so much. Happy belated birthday to Andre. Roundhead wants in, To be honest, if Disney doesn't deal with the power struggle at Lucasfilm, clean house and rehire Gina. Let this hack destroy what's left. No one will be left to care. That's actually a really good insight right there. I kind of like that take.
Well, not just that. We'll get into that. But the whole Filoni thing, that's where it's kind of like, y'all remember when I was saying he may be a little rat.
Yeah, it'll be fun to dig into that later on. And then House Atreides says, Hail Midnight's Edge. Late happy birthday, Andre. And Andre, you need to apologize to the chat for making us look at Ryan's face for over an hour. So cruel.
That is true. You should.
That is true. I did not consider that. So I
think
regret
of the children, Andre.
I regret any offense caused.
Think of the children.
And Destiny Captain says in Norwegian, gratulerer med dagen, meaning happy birthday. So thanks for that. And Darius Münchhausen sent us a popcorn super sticker. So yeah, good thing that you have that ready because you're going to be needing it. And with that, we were up to
and I think we have one more come afterwards here from Spider Unlimited. We can grab real quick.
Yeah, we can do that. And he says, Mando now needs an episode where Mando helps a southern clocking detective figure out a murder over 30 different family members. Actually, before we move on, what did you
Southern clocking?
Yeah, Michael, what did you think about Knives Out? If you've seen it.
I have seen it. Melinda and I, we purchased it on 4K because a lot of times we just don't see things in theaters. And I think that was prior to the lockdown. And we just went and bought it just to see it because, we both like murder mysteries, even though Rian Johnson was affiliated. And we like Daniel Craig and that kind of thing. So we watched it. But what I felt was that the movie was another example of the overhyping of mediocrity, meaning the movie was marketed as a whodunit, but the movie itself is actually from minute one a howdunit. There's no question as to who did it.
Yeah, I heard that.
And it's like, so Rian Johnson once again doesn't understand his own material and the genre that he's operating in, and everybody is celebrating another mediocre director's products like J.J. Abrams. So it certainly wasn't terrible like Last Jedi, but the marketing made us think it was going to be one thing, and the movie itself was something else. It was this quirky dark comedy that really didn't have the chops to be a real mystery. So instead, it decided to be a whodunit, because Rian Johnson certainly doesn't have the talent to do a whodunit. He doesn't know how to pull that off.
Subverting expectations from the start, you say?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and as for me, I thought that movie was god awful, but we'll get back into that.
Yeah, totally mediocre, totally forgettable. Yeah.
Yeah. Martino Solmoni sent us another very generous 50 Swiss francs. Thank you so much. That's like more than $50. So
say it's probably worth more than the American dollar right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And he says, "Whoa, no more sad days. Much love from the Alps." I can't wait to travel again and getting back into the Alps.
We love that we have such an international audience. It's so awesome.
It is truly awesome. Absolutely love hearing people from all over the place coming here. So that's brilliant. Tiberius Monk says, "Looking forward to your thoughts on the new Mortal Kombat film and your thoughts on Shang-Chi trailer. Hail Tom, hail Andre, hail Retroblasting, hail.
Hail.
You're gonna have to wait a little bit with Mortal Kombat, but
like
we'll get into Shang-Chi presently. Yeah, that's it's this week. I don't recall exactly when, but it's this week. Wednesday? Oh,
Wednesday or Thursday, yeah.
I have to finish the Snyder Cut really soon then.
I guess. I don't know why there's a big hurry, but
yeah, no, because I want to finish it so I can get because I was like I shouldn't review it or anything. And now I really want to see it so I can like get into Mortal Kombat from like day one, because I've really been looking forward to that movie.
Well, I've been hearing some bad shit. And then I don't know if it's the same writer that Script was talking about, but there was one writer who was distancing himself from the film now already.
Well, that's not a great sign.
So we'll probably get into that on Wednesday.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I guarantee you we're going to do that.
So I'm interested to see what that's all about. But Mags also sends you a belated birthday. That's right. We did miss your face yesterday, Mags, but we're glad you're here this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. And so yeah, better late than never. Yeah, thanks so much. And then we have Dash D's, who says, "I just checked. $5 is $3.99 in the US and 41.51 krona. Maybe I'll invest in Andre and maximize my profits. Do you take Canadian Tire money?" Oh yeah, we absolutely take Canadian and all other currencies. So yes, thank you so much for that. For the 41.51.
We're not too good for any monies here.
Yeah, no, we're not so stuck up that we demand certain currencies.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then Gundam Warrior, onto something completely different, says, "What are your thoughts on the brony fandom, now accused of being, right after the things going down in Indianapolis?" Well, this is completely new to me. Brony fandom. That would be like the fans of My Little Pony, or someone implicating them.
Yeah, okay. I don't know the entire story, but I will say this. Most right-wing people, and I'm not talking about just alt-right, because that's being thrown around all the time.
Yeah, no, but the only thing that means right now is that you're to the left of Bernie.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Most conservative folks would find bronies repulsive. Okay? So the fact that the two can be in the same kind of like sentence is kind of like head scratching to me. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, but are you completely aware of what a brony is, Andre?
Well, I know that they're into My Little Pony, which is
okay. What they are is generally
apparently is one of them.
Okay, yeah, they're actually adult men generally who are into My Little Pony, and I don't know. I don't want to really.
Yes, I know.
You know what I wish? I wish we had Lio Convoy here right now, because Lio Convoy, who has a great YouTube channel called Lio Convoy Reviews, he is entrenched in the anime and animation community, of which he's constantly dealing with bronies and all the shenanigans that subset of fandom has gotten into over the years. And I wish I could pick his brain about it right now, because he knows all the ins and outs of that. And I'll reach out to him this afternoon and see if he knows anything about this situation.
I'm sure there's plenty of bronies who are just fine.
Oh no, I'm not saying
What?
Lyo's a brony.
No,
What I'm saying is he knows
I'm just
about-
trying not to be like too much of a dick here, but I'll be honest. I've not met one that I would introduce to anybody I know.
Yeah.
They are creepy. I have a hard time seeing them as any kind of conservative because of the type of lifestyle they live. It just doesn't jive.
I've never even seen what political lines could be a part of them. What I've experienced firsthand from them is they are always disruptive during like convention presentations. They are always single-minded, and they're odd people. Apparently they even have taken over entire My Little Pony message boards, and the traditional fans have just run away and left because they're just a pain in the ass to deal with all the time.
See, this I can believe. This is like a clear example of one of those things that Hollywood's trying to play pretend that's gone on in every other franchise.
Mm-hmm.
This is one where I can actually see it as actually happened, because there's even like documentaries about these guys and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know John Delancey, he did one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, like I said, I'm sure there's plenty of normal people that are involved in this community, but just the idea of the community alone just doesn't seem very healthy and normal to me.
Yeah, that's what Lyo has told me in the past, is that there's a lot of dysfunction going on within that subset of the My Little Pony fan community that has turned a lot of My Little Pony fans, against them as well. It's like, we try to accept everybody, but you guys have just, made it impossible.
Right. And I don't want to get into too much, accusations or making, claims of any kind, but just them trying to tie that to the other just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, that's not my thing, because I think that this is something that I have not followed, but to me it seems like very, very weird that because then it seems to be like, okay, this guy, he is a brony and he's right wing, and therefore those people are dangerous and need to be watched. Like that's a really, really weird thing to make. I believe this is kind of like the point that Michael Moore was trying to make in Bowling for Columbine. Like that documentary about like some other people like that where they blame the music taste and everything, but the last thing they did before was to go bowling. So
you mean back before he was completely batshit crazy?
Yeah, back before he was completely batshit crazy. Back when he was just a little bit batshit crazy, but not completely. Before he got completely deranged.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been a bit of a chauvinist or whatever you want to call it. Not in like that's not the word I'm looking for. He's like a circus barker. He's full of shit half the time, but he puts a lot of his.
Well, he had some good points back.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of his arguments
ago
are based in reality, but then like in the last couple of years, he's gotten TDS so bad.
Yeah, but this was like almost 20 years ago, and
Roger needs a great.
Then I feel that these apply to this situation. The points he made then before he became deranged.
Oh yeah, his first like what?
Probably
4?
This.
Like Roger and Me, the big one, Bowling for Columbine, all those were great. It's probably around like Fahrenheit 9/11, because I mean I like that one, but I'm still not sure how much of that is bullshit, and because that's when he started getting really kind of over the edge with some of his weird conspiracy shit. But again, he that's off topic. Midnight Sun, hello everyone. What do you think of a Two-Face or Bane standalone film in the same vein as Phillips' Joker? I wouldn't be surprised if they're already working on this shit. I
Oh,
don't
I
think
would, because they're completely inept, the people behind the scenes there. Like, the Joker, that's something that they hadn't planned. They actually actively fought against it. That was a passion project from the director and producers behind that one particular movie.
Well, don't they already have like a Lex Luthor movie in the works, though?
I don't know about that. I don't know how far along that are, but what I will tell you is that if they try to do more stuff like that, it's not
No,
going
they'll
to have
fuck it up.
passion the Joker had, because that started out as a passion project before. Like, whatever Luthor or other stuff they're able to dream up, then it's going to come from Warner Media today. It's going to come from the Hamada camp and everything. And all they're going to do is okay, how can we try to repeat that success that landed in our pocket without understanding why that was a success, and without understanding or caring about the source material, but we do understand diversity and everyone feeling safe. So let's do that. Yeah, they can try to replicate, and it's going to go to hell.
Well, that's what I said from the start when Joker came out. I said, I guarantee you tomorrow morning, the weekend after that blew up at the box office, they're skimming through every single bad guy they have in the DC universe to try and do the same thing all over again, but they won't do it right because they don't understand what made this work and why Joker is just kind of an anomaly. And you can't really, like, Luthor might be one of the only ones you could build a movie around, but why would you want to, and why would it be that interesting? It's basically going to be like Wall Street, probably.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that drives me nuts about this is that DC is, they keep trying to say, oh, we want a cinematic universe, but they're basically turning their whole DC property into a shelf of unrelated graphic novels is what they're doing. And so they're going against their own goals at this point. They're not getting closer, they're getting farther away.
Yeah.
Well, I keep hearing, and as we know a few people who are a little closer to Warner Brothers, where we keep hearing the same thing. For every little bit of Cold War that's going on over at Lucasfilm is nothing compared to what the fuck is going on over at Warner. Like, it is cutthroat bad over there right now. Like,
right.
I mean, it was in chaos before AT&T took over. It is worse now because there was so much resistance, and now you got people getting fired. You got people that are scared for their job. You got people that are, biting and clawing against other people because they know that they could be next. And everybody's like, there's nobody really in charge of anything. I've heard 3 different people who are technically running the show at DC.
Wow.
I have to say, I'm a big fan of how Jason Kilar went in and killed the New Gods movie, which was going to be a disaster. Like, imagine a movie about Darkseid, not starring Darkseid, directed by, what's her face again?
Ava DuVernay.
Ava DuVernay, and written by Tom King.
But Kilar
that's where they were going, and he ended that. So, yeah. Good going.
For that, he also took a couple hits, you got to remember, because all the press prior to that about the Snyder Cut being, a dead end already kind of killed that momentum. And then when he had to come out and basically say, yeah, next year we're going back to theaters because we don't have a choice, in so many words. Yeah. I mean, that was a bit of a loss for him too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Kind of a punch in the gut.
Oh well, you win some and you lose some. That's
but I predicted that. I mean, and not only that, I knew about it ahead of time, and I didn't even realize it. But like, I just kind of figured, yeah, okay, yeah. I thought I didn't know it was unknown, but yeah, it was all because of Godzilla versus Kong, and that's why Top Gun got pushed back and all this other shit too.
Indeed. And we have a couple of more super chats in between those that probably disappeared from sight. Mr. Tickle Trunk sent doggy super stickers. Thanks for that. Jake the Movie Geek says, everyone take responsibility for your privilege. And Isan Kumar says, for 300 Indian rupees, thank you so much. Good morning, all. Glad to be able to catch a live session since I'm in New Delhi, India. Oh, wow. Awesome. Glad you could make it. And again, we just love hearing where everyone is in the world. So fascinating. And then it continues, belated happy birthday, Andre. May the force be with you. These bronies sound as dangerous as they sound random. Yeah, I don't know how dangerous they are, though. I'm not sure that that this guy went nuts because he was a brony.
I think it's unrelated.
I think he went nuts and he was a brony. Of course, because him being nuts in the first place might be connected to why he went nuts and became a brony. But,
I shouldn't laugh. But no, that's the point, Andre, and that's kind of the great way of saying what I was trying to say before. Is it's kind of like the whole thing when Frederick Wertham came after the comic book industry, and Stanley's like, yeah, sure, kids in juvie read comic books, but they also drink milk. What's your fucking point? It's like, one doesn't have anything to do with the other, and it's the same kind of thing here.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure we have many, many closeted bronies out there who are very, very good and decent people. There must be, surely.
And I don't know if we missed any in between that and Dash Attack, but that's
here we go. Exactly. Dash Attack says, we missed that. We'll get back to them. Former brony got to defend the fandom. It is very diverse, and there are right and center bronies alongside Bereen lefty types. They aren't all in agreement. There was an uproar that Gen 6 would be an SJW reboot. See, now that's what I thought. I'm sure that within the brony community, you have as diverse opinion there as you're going to have everywhere else. And of course, then they're all going to be unified by being bronies, which makes them a little bit like weird from outside people, but that's fine. Whatever rocks your boat. Again, I'm sure there's plenty of people that are good people who are bronies, and I don't think that whoever went nuts in Minneapolis did it because he was a brony. He just was nuts and a brony.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, exactly. So,
and I'm even curious if he was even really alt-right. Like, that's the thing, is they just throw that around anymore.
Yeah, basically, the only thing that means right now is that you are slightly aligned a little bit more to the conservative side than Bernie today. I mean, Bernie of 2016 is alt-right by modern standards.
Yeah. But no, like I said earlier, I'm sure there's all kinds of different people in the brony community, but I have a hard time seeing a lot of the things that My Little Pony and the community kind of stand for really leaning anywhere near conservative. So that's where I find that just kind of.
I'm sure there are plenty conservative people in there too.
Oh, I'm sure there are, but
you don't have everyone moving in the same specter there just as everyone else. I mean, it's just one more interest. We all have our little like.
I will say this about this fandom, though. I will take this little bit of point of privilege. I know you love that. As a white male, look, you guys got to understand, when you come into this fandom, even if you're a brony or whatever, it's kind of like Raylos. People see you as odd, and you got to remember it wasn't made for you initially, so you got to kind of back off, and that's probably why a lot of bronies are seen as very aggressive and demanding. And again, I'm not part of the community. I don't know anything about it going on, but as a member of many franchise, fandoms, I can see that as an issue. Yeah. It's not something that's clearly not made for 40-year-old men. And I'm not saying that to be facetious or joking in any way, but it's not. It's something made for...
Well, it depends on what you get out of it.
I get it. But you can't demand a fandom to be like to follow your standards.
For some things, you can't expect.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah. For some things, like if you enjoyed whatever, but you have to be understanding that some people are going to find this off. So, yeah.
Well, not just that. I'm just saying, like, My Little Pony in general is not like when they say we're worried about it going SJW. Hasn't My Little Pony always kind of been SJW? Like, that's kind of what I'm saying. Is like,
I wouldn't know. I've never seen it.
I mean, all I know about is it's like caring and sharing and loving and rainbows. All right, like, I mean,
actually, the opening television show in the '80s was very, very dark and weird. Melinda knows a lot about it because she's a vintage.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, see there. Now that's going to something that's going to attract like for men in their 40s today when they suddenly realize, holy shit, this is dark and weird. Like if you like dark and weird stuff, then
like the ponies are actually captured by some sort of satanic demon in the original cartoon, and then they have to they have to escape, and it's very, very strange. It's nothing like the Care Bears was from its opening inception. Now, since then, it has evolved. But that original cartoon is very 80s in the same way that Secret of Nim was and stuff. It subverts itself pretty extremely.
Well, you see, there you go. Like the bronies evidently recognize that stuff, whereas we only look at face value.
Yeah. I was in the same camp as everybody else, thinking that My Little Pony was just Care Bears that were horses. And it turns out that, as the toys are, but the mythology of the original animated show, at least in the opening movie / miniseries, was rather like, wow, they made this for kids? Weird.
Oh, well, again, there you go. Because there must be a reason why they gravitate to My Little Pony and not the Care Bears.
Right.
So, I want to
give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right, yeah,
I mean, that's why
so do I. That's what I'm saying. You probably hit on it right there. That's probably you just put in words what, to my awareness, every other brony has failed to do in explaining why they're into it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, great going, and they found something that they enjoy. Good for them. Then just make sure to create distance when there's someone else who has recognized that goes a little bit nuts, like this guy right here. So yeah.
It's
I mean the guy in Minneapolis, not Will Bloom, who happens to be on screen right now. Yeah, that's
right. Yeah, it's all about keeping a good eye on your community and policing it, no matter what your fandom is. So
yeah. And then we have Asian O, who says, "Greetings from the People's Republic of Ontario, Canada. Happy birthday, Comrade Andre. Rewatching Twin Peaks: The Return. It's more sensical than
real life right now."
Well, that doesn't take much.
No. Well, I haven't seen the Return yet. I've heard so many mixed to bad things about it. I kind of avoided it, but maybe I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. And then before we move on, we have some older ones that we just couldn't bring up on screen. Valiant Renegade said for $10, Meat Tuesdays and Thursdays coming back. Damn, I'm going to go broke on Super Chats. Back to the theater again this weekend twice for Demon Slayer and Mortal Kombat. Looking forward to your reviews. Thank you. And yeah, we look forward to those as well. I certainly do. And then Patrick Mulligan said for $5, just watched The Lighthouse. Excellent film with great visuals and acting. Very interested in seeing the Batman now. Can we get Defoe as a villain? Who? So yeah, Tom, I know you're not a huge fan of The Lighthouse.
I haven't seen it. It's not that I'm not a fan. That's the thing is people keep misconstruing that I'm some Pattinson hater or I'm not a fan. It's I have nothing to go on. I just point out the obvious is that I'm basically the general audience, the same people who have never seen anything that he's done outside of Twilight. So that's why I keep saying him, if it's true about him not wanting to work out, if he's not taking this shit so seriously, it's at the detriment of his fucking career right now, because he can do all this other artsy fartsy bullshit all he wants. This is his one shot to be seen as anything other than Edward Sparkle Pants in the eyes of most of the general public, because he can sit there and do his artsy fartsy movies for the rest of the time and be fine and nobody will care. But if he wants to get back into the mainstream movies again, he has to prove that he's not Edward. He has to get out there and prove that he can kick ass as Batman. He not only has to prove that he can kick ass as Batman, he has to be the ultra cool, probably one of the bestest Bruce Waynes we've ever seen ever. He's got the biggest uphill battle of any Batman prior to this, even Michael Keaton. Because as many jokes that were flying around at that time about him, people could at least understand why Michael Keaton could possibly be cast. There is very few people that are seeing the reason why this guy is cast unless they've seen his other roles, which is totally fair. But most of the general public hasn't seen anything but Twilight. So,
I have to say, Tom, I'm a big fan of how you once described his other roles, The King, The Lighthouse, all this other stuff that he's won multiple awards for and stuff like that. I don't remember your exact words, but it was something along the lines of a bunch of bullshit that no one's seen and no one cares about.
The Lighthouse might be one of the few that people have kind of picked up on, and I guarantee you most of that has to do with the fact that they're stuck in during the pandemic, and it's got Willem Dafoe in it, and people have talked about it. You know what I mean? But outside of that, like you said, those other movies you just listed, most people haven't seen them. You know, they're like what South Park brought up as independent films, you know, black and white movies about gay cowboys eating pudding. That's the kind of shit he's making right now, and nobody sees that. Tenet was a big movie, but that's not the kind of movie he needs to prove, you know, that he's a mainstream star, leading man kind of guy.
Yeah. And then Hyde 1352 said, all this talk about Brony and stuff. Anyone remember what it was like to be an original Trekkie? Your fandom will be twisted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you'll have that in any fandom.
Yeah. And then we had Mr. Tickletrunk, who said, did you know that people in the actual alt-right breathe air and say the sky is blue? I think we need to cancel oxygen next. Oh, by the way, the sky is now pink. Oh, very astute. And
Yeah,
with
that's
that,
kind of going off my point.
without further ado, let us now get into the first main topic of today.
Oh, you want to jump right into Rian Johnson?
Yeah, no, Shang-Chi. I said
Let's
it
talk
first.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's get.
I was going to say, let's get that out of the way first.
Yeah, let's get Shang-Chi out of the way before we dive into Rian Johnson. Michael.
I was just going to say, Michael, are you even aware of Shang-Chi before this?
I was aware of the comic books when I was younger. I did not ever read any of them because at the time that I was collecting comics, I don't even think it was still being published. It was one that I saw in the back issue boxes. But I am aware of the comic, yes.
Yeah, there you go. So you're not too familiar with it. As for myself, I was aware of the existence of the Shang-Chi comics from references and parodies. I think that I learned of it by way of like a parody in Judge Dredd. That's how I learned of it. I don't know that I have ever read any comic featuring the actual Shang-Chi. I don't know that any of them were ever released in Norway. And honestly, I never had the inclination to seek them out afterwards. The comics may be super intriguing. I do believe that the character was invented by Roy Thomas. I could be wrong, but I think that's one of his that he co-created at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that, and I know that he's generally like really, really good, and his stuff tends to be solid. But I just never cared to look into it. How about you, Tom? How familiar were you with Shang-Chi at the time when this movie was made? Like, were you jumping with excitement, or like a little bit more laid back to it?
I wish I had the little meme of what's his face from Guardians of the Galaxy going, who? You know, because like, yeah, I mean, outside of whatever connection it was with that classic cinema character, was it Fu Manchu or whatever?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, outside of that, I had very little knowledge of this character or its existence. I think maybe before that I might have known, just the only thing I knew about it was tangentially through that connection. And I think there was, for a while there, they kind of modeled the character after Bruce Lee. Like, so there was like that. Other than that, I had no knowledge of the character. And I mean, we'll get into what we thought about the trailer here in a minute, but I mean, I've got nothing against, you know, I'm all for, like, I'm like Rob, I'll sit down and watch a Kung Fu movie anytime.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited for the movie itself. As a kid, I was, like I said, my brother, I collected G.I. Joe as a kid, the G.I. Joe comic, and my brother collected Conan the Barbarian, the standard Marvel title. And we would go to the Great Escape, which is a big comic store in downtown Nashville, and buy our back issues. And that was where I saw the Shang-Chi comic books. And I always, because I never opened it up, I always thought that comic was like Conan in the sense of a genre, meaning I always thought it was more like a sword and sorcery style comic book that was sort of set in a stylized reality. I had no idea that it was actually like a superhero book until they said we're roping him into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then my whole brain did this like, oh my God, Kaiser Sose isn't a real person. Like I was like, oh, I never knew the context of that character. He must have been more closely aligned with like a superhero or G.I. Joe style book than he was a Conan book. because as a kid in the 80s, you're into ninjas, you're into, martial arts in that respect. You're watching The Master on TV and Ninja 3, The Domination. So I thought that it was not quite aligned with superheroes. I thought it was more martial arts or sword and sorcery. But I guess I was wrong. So.
Yeah, well, probably because he was always part of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the Marvel comic book universe proper.
See, that's what I didn't know. I had no idea. Yeah.
Which incidentally, so was Conan. He was just like separated from them by 12,000 years.
That's what I always thought. Yeah, that's what I always thought Shang-Chi was like. I thought it was a Marvel comic, but not a Marvel Superheroes in New York comic. I thought it was totally unrelated to that, and I was wrong. So
yeah. But okay, so basically, none of us really knew much about Shang-Chi going in, so no one here can pretend to be a fan or anything. So now, having seen the poster and then the trailer, what's your thoughts on the trailer? Seeing it, what were your first reactions, and how excited did it make you to see the movie, Michael?
I love Jackie Chan films. I love Bruce Lee. I love ninja movies, Sho Kosugi, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So when I was watching the trailer, it's not surprising to find out after the trailer was over that Jackie Chan's stunt team worked on this film, because it looks like it has great martial arts action. I'm really thrilled with the imagery I saw there. The only part of the trailer that I wasn't like all that plugged into was, the undercutting jokey joke at the very, very end, because I was like kind of getting caught up in the whole, I want to learn about this character and go on this ride and all this kind of stuff. And this looks pretty, cool and intense and all this kind of stuff. And I get that you want to have some humor in there, but I just wonder if it undercut the trailer a little bit, that joke at the very end. Because I didn't really know who the girl on the bus was. And so I was like, But I'm not going to judge the whole movie based on somebody in marketing cutting the movie the trailer that way. I'm actually intrigued by it. I'm just worried that since I haven't watched any of the Disney Plus TV shows that are seemingly unrelated, will I understand this movie? I hope I do. I hope that they're not tied too closely to Disney Plus.
I hope so too. But
how do you think it'll rate? I got to ask Michael though before I go. How do you think it'll rate up against Ninja 3: The Domination though?
Gosh, that's such a tough question. The ninja fight in the golf course in the beginning of Ninja 3: The Domination is truly, unironically to me, one of the greatest things that's ever been put to film. And as cheesy as some people might find it, the fact that they conceived it, executed it, and did it, props to them. I want to shake all their hands.
Ninja 3: The Domination has got to be one of the most batshit crazy awesome sequels in history.
It is. It totally is. And I also love Drunken Master 2.
Right.
I knew it as Drunken Master 2. I got it on an import VHS, like a legit import VHS. Most expensive VHS tape I think I bought in my entire life. It was like $60. Had the Cantonese subtitles and everything. But between Ninja 3 and Drunken Master 2, I don't think I've ever had a better time watching martial arts films. That being said, as a big Jackie Chan devotee and a Hong Kong cinema devotee, I am hopeful that this movie will draw a lot of inspiration from those things and deliver on a level with the action that it appears it's going to. I'm hoping. Yeah.
In all seriousness, I'm kind of in the same boat as Michael here. From what I saw of the trailer, I'm intrigued. Mm-hmm. Looks like fun. Reminds me of a lot of classic films, like he was just saying, like the Bruce Lee films and stuff like that. What I didn't get out of this trailer, though, is anything that felt Marvel-esque, really. I mean, there is some of the super powers in it, but
that's why I think the joke at the end killed it for me, because just like you, Tom, I wasn't having a Marvel vibe to it.
Yeah.
And that joke at the end was very like Disney Marvel. Like, let's make sure everybody in the audience knows everything's okay with the joke. It's like, I'm cool with that with Ant-Man, but I don't know.
And I even enjoyed Thor Ragnarok.
Right.
And one of the reasons is because it was so hilarious. But yeah, I mean, after watching this trailer, I'm more intrigued than I ever was before. I have zero attachment to this character, so I can understand if there's people that are fans of the character that may like not enjoy certain aspects of the adaptation that they've seen in the trailer thus far. But I'm willing to give it a chance.
Yep.
Compared to like Winter Soldier and Falcon and the whole like WandaVision thing, I definitely am more on board with this than I thought I was going to be before I saw the trailer.
Same here. I completely agree. When we watched the trailer, I was like, I don't really know. And then when I like 3 seconds into it, I was like, ooh, like this. Okay. If I don't have to watch all that WandaVision stuff to understand this, then I'll be good with it. So yeah, I'm hopeful.
Yeah. So Andre, what did you think?
Well, I hope for the best movie possible, but honestly, I wasn't excited going in. Again, it's not that I was like this excited. I just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like Shang-Chi, cool.
Right?
But, we'll see if it's good or not. And while I saw the trailer, I was like, yeah, well, fine, yeah, whatever. Shang-Chi, we'll see if it's good or not. And after the trailer, I was, yeah, fine, whatever. Like, we'll Shang-Chi, we'll see if it's good or not. And that looks a little bit like like more CCP propaganda. I had like that thought as well.
Yeah.
I'm like curious. Are we going to get like reports that this was filming next to another, camp where they go to concentrate? And will they get thanked for it in the credits, like with Mulan?
Well,
because to me, it just like looked again. It could be perfectly true to the source material. I don't know. It just like looked a little bit like propaganda-esque at times to me. So I was completely. I wasn't underwhelmed because that would imply that you had expectations, which I didn't. So I was kind of like, yeah, fine, whatever. We'll see. Didn't change my expectations one way or the other.
Yeah. Well, that's understandable. I mean, I'm kind of in that boat too, where like this is one of the first Marvel movies where I'm not all that worried about going to see it right away. I might just wait. I mean, if it does even come out in theaters, with that little asterisk there. And same thing with paying $30 to see it. I mean, I'm kind of debating on that as far as Black Widow and hoping there's other ways of getting it besides Disney Plus. But no, I mean,
this will be the big test. Black Widow and this for Disney's physical media for their, they're already terrible about it for their catalog titles. Yeah. But because traditionally what I've done, I did go to see Endgame and Infinity War in theaters because that was prior to the lockdown. But like with Black Widow and Shang-Chi, I will wait for these on like 4K disc. Like I will just, and if they don't come out on 4K disc, then I don't know how I'm going to end up seeing them because I don't have Disney Plus for principled reasons. So yeah, this will be a test to see how devoted Disney is to its new productions. Like Mandalorian coming out on DVD. If that's the way they're going to do their physical media rollouts of their stuff in a post-Disney Plus world, then they're just not going to have me as an audience member at that point. So
I don't think that's part of their plan. Again, I could be wrong. I know they have talked about some titles coming to disc, but I'm under the impression that anything that was meant specifically for Disney Plus probably will not come out on Blu-ray. Now, like Mulan did.
Right.
But we haven't seen Mandalorian, like you just pointed out, yet.
Right.
As far as some of their movies that are made directly for Disney Plus, I'm curious. Now, I'm assuming the Marvel, like Black Widow, will probably come out on Blu-ray.
Right.
This will probably come out on Blu-ray. But the thing that I've heard that is probably not going to happen is a lot more of the classic films, and it'll go on a case-by-case basis. Example is last fall, they remastered quite a few movies, including Muppet Christmas Carol, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, The Black Cauldron, and the other one, Hocus Pocus. Now, of all 4 of those or 5 of those, the only one that made it to disc was Hocus Pocus.
Right.
And I said, and the specific reason why that sequel also got greenlit was because it was playing so well on Disney Plus, and that's what I heard, is that it was doing so well. They're like, all right, that one will get a disc, and then they also finally greenlit that sequel that they've been talking about for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, in the future, I mean, I'm not holding my breath on seeing like Who Framed Roger Rabbit on 4K, which to me is one of the reasons why you have 4K.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, and I know Black Cauldron's another one that people have been clamoring for, that it looks brilliant on Disney Plus, but my DVD looks like shit.
Yeah, the DVD I have looks terrible too. Yeah, I was hoping they would at least do one of those Disney collector club Blu-rays of it, like they did Black Hole. Even though Black Hole looks like ass on Blu-ray, at least they did it, and I have it. But yeah, they haven't done it.
No, they haven't done that for 4K at all, and which is sad. I wish they would have, Michael, and that's one of the reasons why I've kind of turned away from their movie club too, which really used to be great. Like, because like you just said, there was a lot of titles they used to make available there you couldn't get out anywhere else.
Yeah, like the Three Musketeers, and Swiss Family Robinson, and all that kind of stuff.
Everything down to like the Mighty Ducks and the Shrunk the Kids franchise and everything else.
Yep.
Herbie Films.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to this. I'm not like over the moon for it. It didn't give me anything in the trailer to even make me think it was a Marvel film. So yeah, I mean, that could be a bad thing or a good thing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to me it was. It looked like a Marvel remake of a 70s Hong Kong movie, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee kind of movie, given the Marvel makeover with the mandatory Marvel humor, and I just wasn't excited for it. So I'm sure I'll watch it. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm hoping to be positively surprised by it. That's the best opportunity to actually be pleasantly surprised by something, is if you go in with no to mixed to negative expectations. That's actually when a movie has a chance to win you over. And I hope that this movie is going to do that. But as it is right now, I just don't care. I care about it more than I do Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Tell you where I'm with that. I haven't seen a single episode. I do believe it's this Friday that the final episode is coming. You know what that makes me think? I'm like thinking, oh God, do I have to suffer through all 6 episodes just to like?
Nah, we'll just wait and find out what the big reveal is, and that's all we need to know.
Yeah, probably. You can just go in and watch like the last episode. Like, we know that there's like this new whoopie-doo character that was supposed to be like this series Skywalker moment, when you had like that chick from Seinfeld show up and be a character that no one heard about.
Janine Garofalo?
No. Like the one who played in Seinfeld.
I thought that was Janine Garofalo.
No, I don't think so. But anyway, whatever.
I just say we were making the joke about how she went downhill since Mystery Men, and she broke up with Ben Stiller and went into hate men mode. But then you're thinking of Julie Louise-Dreyfus, unless I'm wrong.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah, was it Julie Louise-Dreyfus? Okay.
Yeah, isn't she like supposed to be like the super revelation thing? I'm sure it's going, and the next
it was
episode,
okay.
Sure
you were right. Okay, I don't know. I don't watch
another. I'm sure it's going to be like another major disappointment on Friday. Anyone that has expectations for it.
Well, the whole thing, isn't it going to be that Kurt Russell's kid's going to turn out to be bad anyway? He's like a Yahtzee.
Kurt Russell's kid?
Well, isn't he the one playing Captain America now?
No, that's not Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell was the one who played like the dad of Star-Lord.
No, his kid's in the show now, though. His actual real life kid.
Oh, is that Kurt Russell's kid?
Yeah, the one from 22 Jump Street.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah. The guy who was like best friends with Channing Tatum in 22 Jump Street, that's Kurt Russell's kid.
Oh, okay. Because he's like this weird, like evil Captain America meant there to show that all white person are bad, right? The guy who like looks really weird with the mask on, if you ask me.
Yep. Yeah, he looks like the guy from Up. That's what everybody keeps saying, yeah. I don't know. I ain't keeping up with it. I'm just keeping up with the rumors and shit that are out there. So yeah,
basically, I have zero enthusiasm for that series. To me, it was always like Gotham, a Batman series without Batman. But I don't care about Captain America series.
Well, and didn't they just kill Captain America unceremoniously off screen?
Yeah, they might as well.
They just like had a funeral for him or some shit, and that was it. Like,
yeah, well,
Or that's what I was told. I don't know. I haven't watched the shit. I'm not going to watch the shit.
Yeah, I would like to bury the past, I guess. It's like what they did with that.
They buried their future.
Yeah, that too. They took that with the past.
But I like Torlek 363's comment here. How ironic that the company that made the movie called The Black Hole has become a black hole of IPs.
Yeah, it really has. They buy them up and then they put them in the vault and you never see them again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess this is also one of Goldie's kids too, so it'd be between the two of them. I wasn't sure. So there you go. Yellow Flash is in the chat. How you doing, brother? Says he's going to become U.S. agent like in the comics. He's has big anger. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I haven't been keeping up with it though. I just been seeing what people have been talking about, and it's just like, yep. And I know it's more murmurs than talk because like nobody really gives a shit. But anyway.
Yeah, we certainly don't, and I don't see anyone do, and I hope that their own numbers are picking up on it, like that. No one cares that they really screwed the pooch, and they have quite a lot of work to do in bringing back the MCU. Let's hope that.
No, and this is fair, Roll Titan. I'm not really insisting on talking about it. In fact, I'd love to move on. He says, if we insist talking about a show, at least watch it.
Yeah, but that's what we're discussing. We're like, do we really have to suffer through watching it just so that we can do a stream about it? That's what we're talking about. We're like, we're make no secret of the fact that we haven't seen it, and it just seems horrible.
Yeah, and it's all because of their stupid bullshit.
Yeah.
Speaking of their stupid bullshit, I guess that's a good spot to jump into the main topic.
Yes, it is indeed. I'm just going to run through a couple of super chats first before we dive into Rian Johnson wanting back in on Star Wars. So yeah, fantastic with that. Connor Fuller says, is the real loser in all these franchise wars that are going on original material? Oh yeah, for sure. There are so many people, or like people with greenlighting powers out there that are only after branded property, and they can do original well, but only below a certain budget threshold. So I submit that there are tons of original content that would have been excellent if made, that isn't getting made right now for a variety of reasons. You also had this report going around that a writer had been told by, I believe that it was ABC or Disney, one way or the other, that said that, okay, this pilot that you pitched us, this original pilot, that seems great, it's fantastic, but it's not diverse enough, and we don't want to appeal to the stupid, unwashed masses of white people, so we're not doing it.
Well, that's that's what William Friedkin said. He had an interview a few years back when his movie Sorcerer came out on Blu-ray, which was a film that came out in 1977 starring Roy Scheider.
Yep.
But it happened to come out just a few weeks after Star Wars at the time. And he said now the reason that he's still a viable director but doesn't work anymore is because these studios all just want to do internal projects that are sequels or spin-offs of, pre-existing IP. They don't want to explore new ideas and new stories. And so guys like Rian Johnson, I firmly believe, they're obviously, from their interviews and everything, completely disinterested in these genre projects. I feel that J.J. Abrams is largely the same way, but they see them as money piles that they can mine. And like J.J. Abrams, he strip mines Star Trek, and then he runs over and he strip mines Star Wars, and now he's run off to strip mine DC Comics. But they don't have any invested passion or interest in these properties. They're just running to each one just to get a paycheck. The quality, I say that very sarcastically, of their screenplays bears this out.
Yeah. Would you call it NECA level quality?
It is NECA level quality. It is non-durable filmmaking, is what it is. Yeah. Non-durable filmmaking.
I knew you'd get it.
Speaking of, we have the good Reverend Hari Krishna joining us. How's it going?
Get here, Rob?
I'm thinking of changing my name to Mr. Landlord.
I'm just
fired. You're unfired. I need you. Come here.
I'm just glad Robert Stack didn't beat you up in the airport. That's great.
Yeah. He goes, "Oh, interested in Reverend Moon? How about Buddhism?"
But no, did you get the chance to see the Shang-Chi trailer this morning?
Yes,
Rob?
yes,
It's
yes.
got
And-
karates in it.
yes, but it doesn't answer the other fundamental question. Who the fuck is Shang-Chi?
Yeah, exactly. That's our point exactly. I just want to, before you get into it, I just want to address one comment that disappeared from the screen. No, here it is. House Atreides says, if you're going to do a stream on a movie, TV show, you should at least watch it to give it a fair chance. There are good parts to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yes, of course. Like, if we do a whole stream devoted to it, we will, of course, have seen it in advance, and then we're giving it, we would be giving it a very fair shake, and if it was amazing, we would say it was amazing, and praise everything good. Like, for instance, we had no qualms about praising the episode of Star Trek Discovery that actually was good. You know, the one that Mikey Spock wasn't in. But
Here's the problem right now. Disney is that chick that did the one thing we said not to do, and she keeps fucking calling us and asking us to go out on a date, and she's just not getting a hint right now.
Yeah, that's like the thing. Like, so that's really all we're saying right now is that, as for me, I'm not saying that I'm going to do that stream. The only way that will happen is if I watch it first, and of course, then Rob and Tom will have watched it as well. And the problem right now, and this is like the state of Marvel, none of us want to. I don't want to see it. I could go in and see it, but I don't want to. I'm demotivated. I was so turned off by the ending of WandaVision that it just killed what little excitement and hype I might have had. And now, like, going in to see it is just
mine goes back to Gina.
So basically, either we do a stream and then we watch it, or we don't. And we don't if we can't be asked to see it. That's what's going to happen.
And that's kind of what we were talking about.
We'll give it a fair shake.
And that's kind of what we were talking about is, do we even really have to see it?
Yeah. That's like the thing. Like, I don't think I have the conscience to, like, force you to it, because I have zero enthusiasm for it. Like, if I watch it, would be out of sheer commitment. It would have to win me over. I'd have to take the time, and do I really want to do that so we can have one stream? I don't think we're going to do it. But if we do, give it a fair shake.
Vigilante Williamson brings up a great point here, and I can't remember if I was on that stream with you when I said this, but it was the last time this Rian Johnson Star Wars bullshit was coming. I was like, well, that was because of the non-binary twins. I'm like, they're just putting this shit out there so we talk about it, because nobody else is talking about it. That's why, because their own fans are not talking about it. And so I think Vigilante's right. It's like, don't do the stream. We have to ignore the bad. So yeah, like, if it's something that we clearly don't want to watch or support, we're probably not going to do the stream. And I think that's kind of why we didn't really finish off.
That's why we haven't done it.
Shit, yeah.
Well, actually, we did finish one.
I didn't watch
eventually.
it, though.
I've watched the last episode. I mean, so.
Yeah, but those of us that did watch it, we gave it a fair shake, and the fair shake was that it sucked to high heavens. It made no freaking sense. It was written by crazy people. It retroactively ruined the whole series, and it killed our excitement for everything forward.
Nobody knows what you sacrificed. What you mean? Really, taking an entire town hostage and torturing them for a month is to the point where they pleaded for deaths and brings.
Like the thing.
That's
you sacrificed. The sacrifice. This is like the thing. The sacrifice was figments of her imagination. It was a dream world. That was what she sacrificed.
Yeah, this little fantasy.
Yeah. You know what?
Who the fuck is calling me?
Here's the thing: you could actually go to a person that has. I'm just gonna. Yeah, there. Thank you.
Sorry.
You could, like,
now we owe Hanna-Barbera money. Thanks a lot.
but anyway, because that line just bugged me so badly. Like, they'll never know what you sacrificed. Those people that you kept captive for a month, that will be scarred for life, maybe dead or injured for life. They never know what you sacrificed. I can tell you exactly what she sacrificed. You know, people who have, like, gaming addiction, people like we saw in, like, that thing in South Park where they're completely addicted to World of Warcraft, where they're so immersed that they think it's their life, and suddenly you take it out of them. That's their sacrifice. She gave up her. That's all that was. It was a figment of her imagination. It was her coping mechanism for not dealing with reality. That's what it was. That's what she gave up. And she gave up the figments of her imagination.
And she got to walk away scot-free.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, byesies.
And it's just rubbed me so the wrong way that yeah, I know I've made you watch worse things, but that was like fun. It was fun watching us all squirm over Discovery and stuff, but right up until Picard, and then it wasn't fun anymore. And this was fun in the first place. And at this point, Discovery isn't fun either. So I don't think we'll be doing any more reviews of any of that stuff. It's
Red Letter
so freaking bad.
Red Letter Media doesn't even want to do it. I mean, what's that say?
It says that Red Letter Media knows how to spend their time to create content that people want to see. And right now, Red Letter Media would rather make another Best of the Worst, which I think is the right thing to do, to introduce people. Even though those movies are hilariously bad, it's stuff that's interesting ideas. They're poorly executed most of the time.
Chakra is a cinematic masterpiece.
They have, but they're introducing people to things that the audience previously doesn't know about. I mean, if I was, Mike and Jay, I wouldn't want to do video after video reviewing, Marvel or Star Wars content all the time. I'd love to talk about all kinds of different things.
That's what it's reduced me to. It's a bunch of nonsensical, like verbal, like sounds.
Well, on that note, then, let's get through.
But what's this about Rian Johnson? He wants to direct the episode of The Mandalorian.
Well, yeah, we're getting into that right now, actually. But first, Rob, share your feelings on Shang-Chi. No one cares. Who the hell is he? That's
who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? Really, honestly, who the fuck cares? Yeah, great. I got a martial arts movie. Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck is Shang-Chi? I read
karate in it. You of all people should be interested.
That alone has peaked. I'm like, okay, you know what? You got karate in it, but that's one thing you got going for it. But I keep coming back to, who the fuck is Shang-Chi?
So you're actually on the Andre boat with this one. See, Mike and I are like, bring it to us. We're like, we've been waiting for a kung fu movie. This doesn't look like Marvel, and
yeah,
we're open to the idea.
But the problem is, though, they're selling it as a Marvel martial arts movie.
Let them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let them. But at the same time, like this, I read Marvel comics all through the early to mid 80s and the 90s. Never once has Shang-Chi ever come up. Nobody ever. None of my friends who read Marvel comics ever talked about Shang-Chi. He was nowhere in any of the current Marvel comics. He was nowhere in any of the extended lore. Nowhere. Not even the role-playing games or anything. So like, they're trying to sell this as some sort of, this is a big moment. We have Shang-Chi. I'm like, who the fuck is Shang-Chi?
Like I said, I think because of my background with the comics, like I was saying before you came on the show, is that on the stream, is that Shang-Chi was one that I mentally put over as a peripheral Marvel comic that wasn't related to the MCU, like Conan and Red Sonja and G.I. Joe and things like that are comics that are probably interesting to read, but they're not related to the big MCU universe. And so I wonder if they are kind of pulling him in a little closer than he was originally intended. Again, I don't know. I haven't read the comic, so.
How much do you think of this as virtue signaling, though?
And also, then this was my
all
thing.
Of it.
How much
all
of this do you? And Rob, how much of this do you think is propaganda for the CCP?
Yeah, that's what.
Jean-Claude Van Damme's in the chat just said, Shang-Chi is to cater to the China audience. I'm like, yeah, that's part of it. And listen, I don't blame Marvel or Disney trying to get the Chinese dollar, but because there's 1.5 billion Chinese citizens out there. And that's an enticing little morsel they've got in front of them. But at the same time, China has its own movie industry. The reason why they go to see American movies is so they can see American movie stars. They want to see Will Smith. They want to see Angelina Jolie. They want to see who else? Tom, help me out here.
The Rock.
The Rock. Yeah, that's another big one. They want to see The Rock.
Well, and as I always pointed out before, that's why Stallone and Schwarzenegger movies were always so big in the 80s. It was because they sold everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And because they were huge movie stars, not just in America, but everywhere.
The movies were easy enough to understand. And like, what do I always say about Fast and Furious?
Man drives car fast, translates in any language.
Exactly. Just like the Norwegian movie, Burn. There, Andre.
Yeah.
Man drive.
Exactly.
See, it works in any language. But like I said, the Chinese have their own movie industry. They have their own TV industry. I'm not saying we shouldn't make movies with them in mind, but we really don't need to. The reason why, listen, remember the movie The Great Wall?
Yes.
Wasn't very good, okay?
Yeah.
Wasn't very good. Okay, but they got Matt Damon in it. And Matt Damon, they were so proud they got Matt Damon. And Matt Damon, this is a real feather in our cap. We have a big Hollywood movie star like Matt Damon in our movie. That's really going to put us on the map. What happened? Everybody kept saying, Matt Damon is whitewashing this movie. That's what happened. At the same time, and Tom, remember what the complaint about Star Wars was from China?
Didn't have any movie stars.
Exactly. Too many ugly people. What was the complaint about Captain Marvel?
No movie stars.
No movie stars. Nobody wants to see a Baizu, which is
nobody thinks that. Yeah, Brie Larson's not a movie star.
Brie Larson,
she fancies herself one. She's not.
Brie Larson, the America's ex-wife. Yeah, there you go.
No, she's just not an international name, and I brought that up for a reason. Like, that's where like the Golden Globus and Canon Films and all that shit of the 80s and 90s and stuff. That's why they knew what they were doing. They built up a movie star that was a global star, and then you would make a movie, and people are like, make fun of Stallone and shit and Schwarzenegger in the last few years, but they forget about how big they were all over the world.
Oh yeah. Like I said, Marvin, who was actually for a very short time a movie star in globally? Marvin Hagler. He was making action movies in Europe. Marvin Hagler, because he's big, muscular, handsome American boxer, big athlete. He fit the bill. Like he didn't have to act. He didn't just remember the old joke about Elvis? Fuck it, let him sing all his dialogue.
We're gonna win this race.
Fuck it. Let's. We need Schwarzenegger. He doesn't have a whole lot. He doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue in his movie. Fuck it. Let him shoot his way out of everything. That's Commando. Commando was the perfect example. He goes, right now your biggest problem is gravity. This is my weak arm.
Give him the one-liners, and same thing with Sly. That's why, same thing with Clint Eastwood before that. That's why he didn't talk a lot.
Yeah. Brie Larson wants to play a Chinese actress.
Another person who I wish wouldn't talk so much is Rian Johnson.
Yeah, Rian Johnson.
Yes, let's get into
this.
This
is my impression of Rian Johnson.
Miss Kennedy, I can ruin the Mandalorian for you really good. Miss Kennedy, are you there?
Please, quick, get security. Ryan's at my door again. So really, that's me. Rian Johnson's not content on just ruining Star Wars. He has to really ruin it.
Okay, well, the first two seasons of The Mandalorian saw a variety of directors get behind the camera for the live-action Star Wars series, including executive producers Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. But sometime in the future, The Mandalorian may have one of the Star Wars feature film directors step in to direct an episode, because Star Wars The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson wants to be a crack whore. I mean, wants a crack at the series. Reporter Sarah Wilson, via Coming Soon, recently caught up with director Rian Johnson for upcoming story in USA Today, and she revealed that the filmmaker is very interested in taking the helm of an episode of The Mandalorian. In fact, she said Johnson was dying to direct an episode. Yeah, I'm sure he is. He's probably dying to do anything at Lucasfilm right now, including his trilogy. But right now, he's focused on getting Knives Out 2 off the ground. Yeah, sure you are. You can't blame him when Netflix is giving him hundreds of millions of dollars to make and continue to give him money to keep him the fuck away from Star Wars. Good news is that this isn't just wishful thinking. Johnson confirmed that he's already spoken to Dave Filoni. about directing a Mandalorian at some point.
No, this is him speaking to Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni's walking out of the building and security's holding Brian back. Dave, can I direct Star Wars Mandalorian? Dave! Yeah.
I wish that was the case, but I've said this before. I ain't so sure that Filoni's agenda has anything so much to do with making good Star Wars as it does to just get his characters back into the fold. And then guys like Rian Johnson are just like Dave Filoni. But that's just me. And here's the thing: is I think Favreau has been relying on him for the to help him with continuity and stuff like that, and they work together on the Clone Wars cartoon. But there's a lot of the problems that people are having with Mandalorian are things that Filoni should be catching. You know what I mean? They're things that the actual gripes they're having that are canon breaking and all that kind of stuff are things that's Filoni's job. He should be catching those things. And I've said this before, is I'm not so sure his agenda is in the same place as everybody else's, but that's just me. But basically, yeah, so this is just a lot of wishful thinking on Rian Johnson's part. There's no real need to get into the rest of this, I don't think. Andre, what about you?
Yeah, no, I want to hear from Michael. Mike, how excited are you about the prospect of Rian Johnson directing an episode of The Mandalorian?
Look, I did not think that there was an equivalent to a movie studio putting a shotgun in its own mouth. But the fact of the matter is that Rian Johnson being brought in on The Mandalorian after it's already limping because of the loss of Carano and all the drama around it. If you put Rian in the director's chair, that is the most polarizing thing you can do. And he will not do anything but troll Star Wars further. So that would be the death shot for The Mandalorian and Star Wars as a franchise.
You're the mob. It's somebody cutting the brakes on your worst enemy's car and then saying to them, "Hey, why don't I drive?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a terrible mistake to do this, but I'm not surprised that Disney Lucasfilm is considering this move, because all they do is triple down on their mistakes. I've never seen them do it. Yeah,
and this would be a huge mistake, because you know what the big problem with this is? Because in principle, it really doesn't matter the individual director of an episode of a TV series. Fun fact, it really doesn't, because it's the showrunner that decides what's going to happen in across the whole season. That's the showrunner's job. Mm-hmm. The directors of each individual episode, the only thing that they are going to do is basically to execute the overall vision of the showrunner. That's kind of the same kind of model that Kevin Feige has used to make the MCU a success up until recently. He approached the whole thing as a TV series where he was the showrunner of the whole thing, and he hired directors to direct the individual episodes. But they only had freedom within certain parameters. It had to begin here, it had to hit this beat, it had to make that revelation, and it had to end here, so as to line up with the next episode. And that's great when you then have a highly experienced showrunner with the vision who knows what he or she is doing. What you don't need is someone highly visual or especially not on a tour for the individual episodes, because really the only thing a director of a TV episode has to do is really point the camera and shoot. And then maybe they can elevate some stuff here and there. Like, for instance, in that one episode that was directed by Robert Rodriguez, the script was super thin. It was 18 minutes of action in total, or story in total, and that whole episode as it was scripted. So he had to invent loads of action stuff to fill in the time. That was great. So that's something that a director can do. He can pad in certain things. He can add here. He can add there. But really, the basic gist of what he has to do has already been given. That is not the kind of thing that a so-called auteur director can do. And Rian Johnson fancies himself an auteur director. In being an auteur director, he should never have worked on a Star Wars in the first place, because he is someone that needs to rule his sandbox. And then he can't play in someone else's sandbox. That's why The Last Jedi ended up the complete and total disaster it did. That was in part because he had to do basically the middle episode, but being an auteur director, that wasn't good enough for Rian Johnson. No, he had to put his stamp on it. He had to subvert expectations.
More like a stank.
Yeah, well, it's a stamp, but the ink of that stamp was like shit. So, but yeah, in any event, then that's my point. There is absolutely no reason why an auteur like Rian Johnson should ever direct a TV episode wherein he has to adhere to the rules of someone else's sandbox. He tried that before, and that was the equivalent of a franchise or a big corporation putting a shotgun in, where. And why would they even contemplate doing that again? I mean, can he stick to the rules? Can he just point the camera and shoot? Probably if he wanted to, but then why the hell do you need him? Because then just use any other shooter director, because that's what they're looking for, unless they want like his name attached for like the prestige of it.
Yeah.
But in this particular name, the prestige that comes with it is the man who killed Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
It's the story group in Kathleen Kennedy's middle finger to the fans is what it is. That's what the name represents.
Probably.
We do have some sort of tangential breaking news to this, by the way.
Oh no. Am I gonna hit the roof?
No. This is to do with the community. Both Drunk 3PO and Ryan Cannell's t-shirt stores have been pulled down. This would be the new one that Drunk started just the other day.
Oh man.
And for some fucking reason, they pulled down Ryan's, which he has nothing on there but his own logos.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck right the hell off.
So this just, they, of course, for those who weren't aware, last week they pulled down Drunk's original store because of he originally had his Drunk 3PO logo pulled down, which understandable. It has C-3PO in it. What are you going to do? But the word "the rebellion" is not copyrighted in any way. And I looked into the copyright law when it comes to fonts. Unless the actual font itself is copyrighted by somebody, there's nothing you can do. It's like what do you call it?
Public domain.
Well, they can massively false flag and claim,
and that's what appears to has happened. But yeah, this is basically what Ryan's shirts look like.
That's Oh yeah, because that's so offensive. Yeah.
But yeah,
I bet someone is going to try to say that this is like an alt-right symbol or something.
Probably.
Yeah.
I just talked to him. He's at work right now, but so he can't hop in. But he's like, yeah, I emailed them, but he hasn't heard nothing back yet. But as you see here, here's the email he got. Says, this is to notify you that as a result of a violation of our terms and conditions, we have removed or disabled access to the material that appeared at tpublic.com/user-rkoutpost and have deleted your account.
Oh man. Oh wow.
And so yeah, and I believe Drunk got the same kind of thing because he also posted about so anybody like myself who may have ordered any of his t-shirts this weekend probably are going to get them. I don't know for sure yet though, so don't quote me on that. But he did get a response from Teespring. They said Teespring strives to create the best community possible for our fans, blah, 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 blah. If we see that your account has violated any of our policies multiple times, we reserve the right to disable your entire account at our own discretion. For questions and regarding remaining profits, please contact blah, 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 blah. So there you go. Yeah, so to me, that's just another attack on the community. And of course, it comes right on the heels of this Rian Johnson bullshit. So yeah, what do you think of this, Andre? What's your kind of takeaway from this whole thing?
Reference what Kamran Pasha said in our recent conversation with him, that these are attacks that are orchestrated from Lucasfilm, and these are the actions of someone that is losing, and they're desperate to try to stop anything that can give them more problems that they already have. These are the actions of someone losing. I think that's what we're seeing here. I see them as becoming more and more desperate for each day that passes. That's what I see. And they're really angry. They're really vindictive. They just use everything that they can, no matter how pathetic, and that they're able to get away with it is really sad and disturbing.
Troy Pacelli sends in $5, says, in light of the drunk 3PO and RK Outpost vendor screw, this community needs someone in the community who makes shirts. I want an ME shirt, by the way. Actually, we do. And that's who we go through, and we always have gone through. And I've recommended other people, but unfortunately they don't have the it all hooked up to YouTube like Teespring and them do. So it's a little more difficult for people to deal with. But yeah, I'm sure one of our wrenches will share the link for you, Troy.
It's also down in the description, as it is in every single video description. You will always find the link to the t-shirts.
You get our Midnight's Edge shirt, including one of our limited edition shirts of Amber Turd.
Buddy of mine used to make t-shirts when he was living in Austin. That was his business. They used to do BMX and skateboard clothing. It's been years. I doubt he does it anymore. But, I could always pick his brain to see what.
Well, I've been very happy with mixed teas for the most part. So, I mean, considering they're basically independently run by guys in the community, that's one thing that I care about. So,
yeah, KSSS, doesn't Ethan EVS use crypto fashion for this exact reason? Yeah.
There you go. See, there's other alternatives out there. It may take a little more work, but yeah.
I bought a Cyberfrog t-shirt actually about 2 years ago. Actually, yeah, they do good work. You have to pay a little extra to get a little bit better quality shirt, but I mean, you get what you pay for.
That's why I like mixed teas, because compared to what I've seen from Teespring and other places anyway, the quality of our shirts is pretty damn good. And
everyone is blown away by our shirts, which again we haven't physically made them, but basically the guys who make them for us do really good.
Do you know what brand of shirt they use, or is that, or I mean,
I'm not sure offhand. I'd have to look. But let me put it this way: I got my Midnight's Edge shirt almost 2 years ago now, and it's still in really good shape. And I've worn it enough times. Same thing. My toxic femininity shirt looks perfect, and I've only worn that a few times, but still,
I'm very fussy when it comes to t-shirts. So I mean,
well, that was my issue, and that's one of the reasons why I went with them, is because at that time, Teespring only went up to like 4XL, and I'm a fat kid, so and if especially and you can't know if it's a 3XL or a 5XL that's going to fit your ass anymore, so because they're all varied in size, it sucks. But so yeah, it was just more of a matter of they had more sizes and more choices, and I liked the quality. And yeah, so there you go. But yeah, if you want to get yourself a Midnight's Edge t-shirt, there you go. But back to this Rian Johnson business, I guess. I don't buy this. I think it's just a bunch of wishful thinking. Will it happen though? It could. I wouldn't put anything past anybody over at Disney now. I feel like it's a losing battle.
I think that Kennedy will be working very hard to have him installed as a director. And the only way that can work out well is basically if he functions like a shooter director, where he basically points the camera and shoots and does exactly what the script says with no subversion. But just him being there is going to be divisive, I believe is the right word for it. Because
problematic.
We would use that term, but they wouldn't. They would use the term as problematic, that we have an issue with it. But Michael, feel free to develop that further. How is it going to be controversial?
I judge it's going to be controversial because Mandalorian is already limping from a PR standpoint. They removed a handpicked actress who was going to be central to the spin-off shows that would be tied into this. Mandalorian as a concept was about to have its own miniature cinematic universe within Star Wars, all with live action TV. And Kathleen Kennedy's move with Gina Carano effectively hobbled that. Like it's literally hobbled at this point. If they then supplant that action with Rian Johnson coming in, Mandalorian's dead. Like there will be some fanboys that will just keep apologizing it off and just keep trying to write it out. But there's a lot of people who are incensed by how Disney handled all that. And as we know, Forbes is incensed as well, rightfully so. So if they do this as like a, oh well, yeah, we're gonna plug the rip in the dam with Rian Johnson, forget it. That you might as well just step on a landmine at that point. I don't see this going over well if they force this. I do not see it going over well at all. Not from the show that brought Luke Skywalker back, for sure. You could bring the guy in that killed him. And I know some people are saying Favreau and Rian Johnson are friends. It's like, well, have we had lunch with them? Do we know what? Because in Hollywood, friends is a term with a wide latitude. I would love to know what that actually means.
Yeah, I doubt they are. I think that's more of like a PR spin statement saying that they are friends. They're friends with knives behind their backs.
Yeah.
And knives may be out. Absolutely. That's what I really think there.
Yeah. I think that Rian Johnson's friendship with Favreau is something that's mediated through their mutual association with Kathleen Kennedy. And they are friendly with one another. But I do not think that these two guys creatively are friends. They are diametrically opposed. And I don't even watch Mandalorian. I just get all the news in my feed and stuff because of what I do on social media. It all dovetails together. But I was telling somebody the other day, they were the video that I did on the Kathleen's Fire Hose of Fun. People were coming back on me saying, Cara Dune wasn't a popular character. You are delusional. And I'm like, look, man, I don't even watch that show. All right. But I get all the news pegs. And for the last 18 months, all I've been getting in my news feed from the movie and TV industry and the toy industry is the next version of the Cara Dune figure coming out of, now there are like 6 of them in 18 months. Toy industries in the modern world don't do that unless a figure is popular. And they're doing 2 spin-off shows from The Mandalorian, one of which is centered around Cara Dune. And I'm going, you don't make a spin-off show in the modern world for a character that isn't popular. Rian Johnson is terminally unpopular in the Star Wars fan base. So to replace a popular character that was unjustly booted out with a director that is just epidemically unpopular is a fatally stupid move. Fatally stupid.
Yeah, pretty much. I think you said it very, very well right there. The only way it's going to work is if they, and that's creatively, is if they give him zero creative freedom in handling the episode itself. They just tell him, do this, use his name for marketing purposes. But even that is going to destroy that entire episode and even that whole season of The Mandalorian in the eyes of the fans that hate The Last Jedi, and that's a whole ton of fans. And that will destroy the series.
I don't see him signing on to a contract. Like, I can't see Rian Johnson with his ego signing on to a contract where he's just, a journeyman shooter for a production. I literally can't see him.
That's the only way that would work.
Yeah, it is the only way.
He only made 2 other movies before this. I mean, what the? Nobody really.
Well, that's the typical thing with the KK's directors.
Yeah, and
outside of JJ,
I just have this image in my mind of just like, of that whole thing with George Costanza and Seinfeld. Ooh, the delicate genius can't be bothered. The delicate genius. That to me is what Rian Johnson is. Like, he's just, you're not all that, buddy. Come on.
The only other argument could be made for Gareth Edwards because I think he'd done a few things, but then they interfered. And that's the thing is Kathy should be, and this is what I don't understand about her. I mean, regardless of how you feel about The Force Awakens, it still at least was a movie and it made money. And J.J. Abrams made a movie, right? I'm not sticking up for him. I'm not sticking up for the movie. But when you bring in people like Rian Johnson, look at the fuck what happens. The Russo brother, or not Russo brother, Lord Miller, they brought them in and, it didn't jive with whatever they do. So what does she do to fix it? She brings in a veteran, Ron Howard. That's what we've said before.
Not just a veteran, a professional.
A professional veteran. But that's the thing we've said before, though, is where are all these people that are attached to Star Wars and all these directors who should be working on this shit? Rob and I bring up all the time, Joe Johnston, where the fuck is he? Where's Ben Burt? I'll tell you where Ben Burt is. Ben Burt's wasting his time doing the sound for the Criterion Collection Blu-ray of War of the Worlds instead of working on fucking Star Wars. The voice of R2-D2 is not working on Star Wars.
And it's the same problem with Star Trek too. I'm like, we're all the the Brennan Bragas and the Rick Bermans and those guys. The
only guys who are still around are those who are smart.
Star Trek. That's where they are.
Yeah, the only ones who are still at Lucasfilm are the ones who keep their nose down and don't say anything, and the other ones are the new people that follow in line with the Pablo Hidalgos and all that bullshit.
This is what you wanted. This is what you fucking wanted, Lucasfilm. You built, you sit on the throne, you sit on an empire, but it's an empire of shit. Well, now it's an empire of shit. That's gonna be the book title for Kathleen Kennedy's reign as Lucasfilm president. Empire of shit. Not Empire of Dreams, Empire of shit.
Cameron Pasha said it on this show just a few weeks ago, where nobody in the know in Hollywood wants to work for Lucasfilm. Nobody wants that on their resume at this point, unless, of course, they're guaranteed to work for Favreau, and then even then, maybe it's a risk. But nobody wants to work for Lucasfilm at large in general.
But there's another veteran you have coming in and actually knowing what he's doing.
And
Favreau,
sports analogy time. First commissioner of baseball, Kennesaw Mountain Landis. They wanted to install him as a figurehead. He said, "No way. You give me total supreme authority, or I'm not doing it." I don't know if there's anybody in Hollywood with that kind of balls or gravitas or whatever to be able to say to Disney or Lucasfilm, said, "Listen, you either give me full control over this or I'm not doing it."
There was a director, I can't think of his name now offhand, but he said it right on Twitter. Somebody asked him about, he's like, "Oh, I would never make a Star Wars movie now in this climate," or something like that. I can't remember who the director was, though. Who the hell was it?
John Campea covered it.
Yeah.
John Campea covered it.
Greetings and salutations. John Campea here.
Greetings and salutations. No, but we did too, but I can't remember who the hell it was now. But I tried reaching out to him too, but I don't think I ever heard back from him. But that was like almost 2 years ago now. But yeah, no, these movies should have been directed by Peter Jackson, by, like Joe Johnston.
Peyton Reed probably would have done.
Peyton Reed would have done all right. I mean, he at least had a little bit more under his belt than fucking, you know.
Dark King Peter Jackson does have that kind of clout where he can say, "Hey, I'm doing it my way," or you can all just fuck off. Yeah, the Russo brothers now have that.
I
don't know about it anymore. Yeah,
so I don't know if he has it now.
One thing we know is Hollywood is a place where you could exist for years on your reputation, on your previous reputation. Like I said,
the problem is Peter Jackson hasn't had any big success after The Lord of the Rings, and he wasted so much time dealing with The Hobbit. And I say dealing with The Hobbit because that's what it was. It wasn't his fault.
Yeah, no, that was a project where everything that could go wrong actually did go wrong. But yeah, no, like in
what was the only other movie he had that was a hit? Was that Bones movie? I can't think of the name of it now.
Bone Collector, was that it?
No.
I don't remember.
Why did I think Peter Jackson had some involvement with
Pretty Bones or Beautiful Bones, something like that.
Lovely Bones?
The Lovely Bones, that's it. Yeah, that's the only real other hit he's had since then, really.
Why do I think Peter Jackson had involvement with District 9? I mean, was he executive producer or producer?
Oh, yeah. He's done plenty of stuff where he's been involved as a producer. But yeah, as far as getting behind the camera and actually,
District 9 was really good. Who was that guy? Was it
Neil Blomkamp.
Neil Blomkamp? Okay, all right. Yeah, the guy said.
I didn't even know you'd seen District 9.
Yeah, I saw it. I was on basic cable, but I saw it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
It's actually it's actually, you know what? District 9, if you want to do a message movie, you do it the way District 9 did.
Oh, yeah.
It did it the exact same way Star Trek used to do it.
Well, I think Blomkamp's one of the most underutilized directors right now in Hollywood and most misunderstood. Say what you will about his films, but if you really look at him compared to the shit that's out there, fucking District 9, Elysium, and Chappie are fucking masterpieces compared to the shit we get nowadays. And say what you will about Chappie, I'll stick up for that fucking movie. I know a lot of people don't like it, but...
Now, the guy who did Taken was Luc Besson, right?
Yes, I think so, yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I would say about him, I'd like to see him do a Bond movie, but I'd be interested in what he would do with Star Wars.
Yeah, I forgot about King Kong for some reason, and that's the problem. A lot of people forgot about King Kong. It did well enough in the box office, but it wasn't the success they were hoping for.
You see, there's directors out there. There's guys out there that could probably do a good job, but the problem is they say, "Listen, this is the material you got to work with," and then they start meddling, and then they come. A lot of it's the Rian Johnson syndrome. They start meddling and no, Ray is, they break all the toys in the sandbox.
Well, we know what happened. Kathleen Kennedy wanted Ray to be the focal point of the trilogy. JJ, and I believe that part of the leaks because that's the same kind of shit. We've always heard. Everybody kept butting heads before. So yeah, everybody kept butting heads with her because she wanted Ray, and everybody's like, yeah, but Star Wars is Luke Skywalker, Han, and Leia.
Not Ray, her perfect Ray. That's the thing. Her perfect Ray, which is her own self-insert.
Remember the early interviews with J.J. Abrams where he flat out said, these first 3 movies, I want to focus on one of the classic characters in each one, setting up the new characters so then they can have another trilogy afterwards where it's all about the new characters. That didn't fucking happen.
Ha!
While I appreciate the fact that J.J. Abrams claims he had this really nice plan in place, I have never seen J.J. Abrams before or since Star Wars make a story that was worth a damn.
No,
it's
well,
very
regarding
easy it's very easy to claim that when it's already broken and you see in hindsight what you should have done. I agree with you there, Michael. Absolutely. It's
no, but we know he did. No, and I'm not trying to stick up for JJ here. We know that there was a plan in place. Even though they tossed out George Lucas's scripts or treatments, JJ had his own treatments as to where they were going to go because Simon Pegg and Daisy Ridley and others have flat out said that this is not the original plan. The plan was this, and then they changed it with Rian Johnson.
Is that because Abrams wouldn't stick around, or was he told we don't want you for the next film?
Well, he had, that was his own fault actually. Yeah, I gotta agree with you there because he had the chance and the choice to stick around and he didn't.
Yeah.
He decided to leave. So that part is his own fault. And that's where I always get to the whole thing where, Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker is the world's most expensive Twitter fight between directors. Because it is. It was because Rian Johnson came in and said, well, I can do that better. And he basically ended the entire story right then and there, by taking it nowhere. And his entire thing was just to say, fuck you to people because that whole your Snoke theory sucks. All that shit was to say, fuck you to every fan who had a theory about Rey and Snoke. So he made them both nobodies because that's the only theory that nobody had. It would have been clever if he'd have made one of them a nobody. But instead, no. He had to double down on the stupid shit, make both of them nobodies, close off every major storyline, waste half the movie in Cantabite, and then fucking gets pissy because nobody likes this dumbass movie. Colin Trevorrow's like, fuck you, you ruined this whole thing. And he did the best he could. If you've read that script, he did the best he could to pick up where the last film left off, plus integrate everything he could. And you can clearly see where if you look at his script, he had to go, look, Carrie Fisher passed away. All you guys got to do is fix the ending so Luke Skywalker's alive and I'm good to go. Just so he could flip-flop those characters. That's all he needed to do. And they're like, no, we're good with this. And that's where he probably said, fuck you. I'm not doing this then because I can't. I can't do this with a ghost Luke and no Leia. Mm-hmm. And JJ's like, well, I can come save the day.
So, No,
Yeah. And that's where I think this whole leak comes from to begin with, is it didn't save the fucking day. It's the only thing on his record as far as he's concerned that's bad. And that's where I don't believe this leak came from the KK camp as much as many people think it does. I'm still more convinced that it came from J.J. Abrams' camp, but it's just me.
But I always say, that J.J. Abrams is like that moment in Community where Abed opens up the package and
just hit the thing and then you delete it.
Oh yeah. Well, just thanks. I thought you weren't going to share it.
I was going to let you set it up, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, like I said, if I can bring it up, I doubt I'm going to be able to bring it up as fast anymore. For God's sake. But yeah, J.J. Abrams, that is that moment where you realize his lack of payoff. Like I said, Abed's Uncontrollable Christmas. What's this? First season Lost on DVD. Represents lack of payoff.
Yeah, now it's not coming up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, you can find the image very easily. You can find the clip very easily. But the whole, like I said, the whole thing is, and Mahler was right. Listen, I know Mahler's videos on The Last Jedi are difficult to watch, but if you break it down to sessions, it's actually.
I love Mahler. He's brilliant. I watch.
Oh yeah, they're very informative. But he says at some point that Rian Johnson has to break down everything into a theme. And because that's the way it's above any criticism. And you said it too, Tom. And you said it or I said, I don't know who said it. Listen, if you subvert expectations, that's fine. This whole thing, deconstruction. Okay, fine. But you better damn well build something better in its place. Just deconstruct what? Because what is actually deconstruction? It just means to tear it down. If you don't replace it with something that's better, or give me something else that I could grab onto, then you know what? You've just senselessly destroyed everything. Having Rey be the child of nobody, your parents are nobody. That doesn't make the story better. That just tells me that you just want to give the fans a middle finger. Have Snoke being nobody. Because it subvert your expectations because everybody thought he was something. Like, no, that's you haven't subverted anything. That's nihilism. It doesn't do anything to advance the plot. It doesn't. It doesn't give you an answer. You knock, knock. Who's there? Nobody. I've subverted your expectations. There's no payoff there. Okay, I'm done.
Michael, anything to add to that?
I have nothing at this point to add to somebody citing Mahler, because all I could do is also cite Mahler. So I feel like Rob definitely punctuated that sentence.
Yeah. In short, then, I think we are in agreement that that the only possible way that it could work to have Rian Johnson come in to direct an episode of The Mandalorian is if he has zero creative input. And even then, it would be divisive just to have him attached because of what he had done before on the franchise, even if he just holds the camera while they film everything. And if he does have any kind of input, that's going to destroy the whole Mandalorian thing, which is why I'm not so worried, honestly, from a creative point of view about him coming in to do anything. Because I don't think that Favreau would allow him to subvert expectations. Then he would probably be like, okay, fine, here's some bullcrap storyline that we have for this one episode about these characters that we're never going to see again. And they were going to be in it for 10 minutes, and then we're simply going to leave them forevermore, and we're still going to do that, but now you can subvert them. You can, like, make them have been dead the whole time or something. That's the only way it could, like, work. But again, even then, you give him any kind of true creative freedom, then he's going to destroy everything, which is why I'm not so worried about him being in it at all. But it's a signal effect. It's a signal effect of him even talking about this, with the Mandalorian bringing back the very people that he drove away with The Last Jedi. That's a horrendous signal effect to send to everyone.
I think Favreau got beat. I think when she hit the nuke button with Gina. I don't think she's going anywhere. I mean, I know a lot of people like to think so, but she's not. And I think this is her just doubling down and showing how much power she fucking has.
Yeah, could be.
I totally agree. I don't think she's going anywhere either. In the last video I didn't say anything about her getting gone and anything like that. I don't think that's in the cards right now. I'll believe it when I see it. But until
that's
then,
the same thing that we said also in our latest video. I know that people like to say that, oh, here they go again, saying that she's gone. Actually, if you watch the last video and all our videos, we don't actually say that she's gone. We report on the rumor that's making the rounds.
Right.
And then we say, we are not able to confirm this information. We have not heard this from our sources.
Exactly.
So don't hold your breath.
Right.
No, and I could use a Star Wars analogy or line here to kind of explain it. Is Kathleen Kennedy is tightening her grip, and the more she tightens her grip, the more will fall through her fingers. But it's still, we got to get through this aspect of it.
I completely agree on that point. You know, I've said the only thing that the fans can do is vote with their dollars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on that note, I would like to highlight a super chat from SN441. I regret that I'm not able to bring it up on screen anymore, but he said, for $50, thank you so much. I've heard the woke companies loud and clear. They don't want my money. Instead, I'll happily support people like Midnight's Edge and other indie creators. We can all laugh at corpo nonsense together. Exactly. Vote with your wallet. Vote for what you want more of. If you want more movies like The Last Jedi and Knives Out, which that was god awful, you ask me. Then absolutely go support that. But if you don't, instead put the money into the kind of content that you like and that you want to see more of, whatever that may be. If it's us, we really appreciate it, and if it isn't, that's entirely up to you.
I will say this to leave on a bit of a positive note with the whole Rian Johnson thing. The more shit that he signs on to otherwise means there's less of a chance that this imaginary Star Wars trilogy is happening. Right?
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
The thing that everybody's got to
he has like this massive deal with Netflix now. Yes. He was able to con them.
Right, which includes the sequels to Knives Out. So, like, that's what I'm saying. He's going to be so busy with all this other shit. Directing an episode of The Mandalorian might be all he could really squeeze into his schedule at this point as far as Star Wars related things. And if he wants to come in and do that, fine, let him at this fucking point. Like a lot of people were saying in the chat, it's like, you know what? Let him show how much of an ass he is. Besides that, like Andre said, it's not like he's going to have that much creative control. He's going to get to come in, do the script they're handed to him. I wish script doctors here, because he'd tell you, TV shows are nothing like movies. The director on a TV show has less power when it comes to, you know, the overall creative aspect of anything. All the director is there to do is to come in and basically get the shots that are needed and work with the actors. That's about it. You're handed a script. I'm sure you get maybe a little bit of creative input before, you know, you go to the actual filming stage, but you're still kind of tied into whatever it is that the writers have come up with for the season. And I think Script Doctor used this term specifically. He said on a TV show, the writer's room is the director, I think is what he said. Isn't it him that said that, Andre, or was it Tom? It might have been Tom Conkle or somebody like that, but I know it was.
I don't recall exactly who said that. But yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty much
exactly
how
what
it works. Yeah. And so for a TV show like this, yeah,
and that's like what I said too. Like the only thing they can do is like they have the script, they can't deviate from it. They can punch up this a little bit more. They can tone down that thing a little bit less. They can spend more time on this scene than on that scene. They can like make a micro cut here.
They can play around with
the story.
Yeah, they can't change the story. They can have some fun. Like, that's the thing. Rian Johnson's episode of Breaking Bad with The Fly is an example where, yeah, you can bring in a director who has fun visually, but they're really not going to be able to do anything with the story that's, like, groundbreaking unless it's something that's in that script already.
Yeah, pretty much. So creatively, I'm not worried about this, but the signal effect about going back to him again is disastrous.
That's
There's no other way
that's
to
my
put it.
issue, Andre. That's my
Exactly.
big issue. Yeah.
No, and I think that's what I'm getting at. Is it feels like to me it's more of a flexing. Like Kathy's just out there flexing right now. She's like, "Oh, y'all think Favreau's the one who's the great guy? Well, watch this," kind of thing.
Yeah, look what I can do. I mean, we're not over yet. So,
Well, someone's saying that, as long as he's kept under close watch, so he can't derail the series. And it's like, well, the series is already derailed.
Yeah, let's see if Mandalorian season 3 even happens, right, Michael?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't even watch the show, but I've been keeping up with the news on it, and it's like, yeah, this thing is already off the rails, like fugitive train crash style. Like she did her job. She pulled a full, saboteur move.
I'd say it's more Bridge Over the River Kwai.
Yeah,
which I did watch, Rob.
How'd you like it?
I liked it, but I don't like the ending.
Oh, okay, well.
Is it a true story though? I don't remember.
I believe it is, isn't it? Yeah.
I was gonna say, so I can't really bitch then. If that's the way it actually went down, then
it's I believe it's a pastiche. I don't know if it's an actual true story.
Okay,
but it's based on real events in certain places. Like, yeah.
I had one problem with that film, not to go on a diatribe, but just real quick. One problem I have with that film that I sometimes have with classic films, and that is when they cast too many people that look alike. So at some point you kind of like trying to figure out who's who. I hate that.
Alec Guinness as so-and-so. Alec Guinness as
still happens.
so-and-so.
Actually, I shouldn't even say older films. That actually happens to this day, to be honest with you. Unless you get somebody who's like completely standing out.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Has just not to get too far off topic, has everybody here seen A Bridge Too Far?
Oh, yeah.
I have not.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. All right, Andre, you might like that, actually. It's about Operation Market Garden.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'll be
an all-star cast. Oh my God, there's so much star power in this movie.
Yeah, and I remember that's one of the other reasons like Pierre Boulle wrote the novel. So like I didn't know if it was a true story or not.
Yeah, well, I have to say, like, then you can't complain about the ending. But if it's based on a true story and it's reasonably faithful to the actual events, then it's kind of difficult to complain about the ending.
I get it, but no.
Well, it was a Major Roy Urquhart actually was an advisor on Bridge Too Far. So I mean, yeah, so they kept it fairly accurate. The only thing is it's 3 hours, so you have to clear the whole afternoon to watch it, or do it in a couple sessions.
Yeah, well, I'll be happy to watch it at some point. I'd be very happy to do so.
Yeah, all white guys look alike. God damn it!
Actually, I was thinking that a little bit when at one point when I was like made to watch The Hills, and I'm so not into those kind of series, and it took me a while to figure out that I was like looking at 3 different blonde white girls there because they all looked the same.
Oh God!
And then I was like, oh no, wait, they're 2 different. They just look the same.
I know, I hate that when they don't make them distinct enough characters to where you're just like, wait, is that the same person? Or they do some kind of weird jump where they don't really explain to you, like, because that's what I'm talking about. Rob, it took me a few minutes to figure out that when they jump to that one embassy or whatever it is, that's the guy that escaped. Like I'm like, wait, is this a new person or is this the same guy? Because I'm like, I think I couldn't tell it was the same actor. So whoever that actor was not as distinct enough for me to kind of. And they had too many other actors around him that were very similar. And I'm sure he's like one of the main stars of the movie too, which I feel bad about, but still. All I know is that it had Alec Guinness in it. That was my main thing.
Well, that's not bad.
It almost becomes like a Monty Python movie, though. Yeah.
William Holden is very distinct in that movie. And
William Holden.
Yeah, and of course, some of the guys there I know from a lot of other films. Like the guy who plays the medic is actually the RAF commander in The Great Escape. Him. And then, of course, the dude who takes them into the jungle for the rescue mission, or the blow up the bridge mission, I should say, is the second general in Lawrence of Arabia who promises Lawrence all the stuff and then doesn't give it to him.
See, those are the guys that I kind of got a little bit. That's kind of who I was talking about, is that crew, because they're so much alike that at certain points I had a hard time telling who was who until they would either speak or. So yeah, it was like, other than the younger guy, it was just like I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm there's a lot of older actors and stuff that I'm still getting to know though, so that's part of my excuse.
You haven't committed a crime, sir.
Not yet.
Only in
Alright.
the eyes of the history of film. But
Now,
with that,
we do have a couple other stories to get through, so let's do some super chats first and move on. Did anybody have to leave? Michael or Rob, are you good? Or
I'm pretty good for another hour.
okay, good.
okay, good. Glad to hear it. Then going back to the classic super chats. Robert says, are you guys worried about your channel for exposing spoilers and insider information? Do you have half Asian Bill Richmond on retainer? I don't know who half Asian Bill Richmond is, but I'm not too worried.
I exclusively use the services of the firm of Dewey, Cheam and Howe. So,
Yeah.
What was the first part of the question again?
If we're worried about our channel being worried about your channel for exposing spoilers and insider information, by implication, are we worried about being taken down? No, and if so, then not for exposing insider information.
Oh, that's Steven Crowder's lawyer. Okay. He would not be a bad lawyer to probably have, but no, not too worried. We try to stay within the purview of certain things.
You'll notice how we dance around like certain descriptions, like and again, it's not like revealing spoilers and rumors and stuff, because we don't actually reveal spoilers very often. What we do is that we reveal rumors, and we clearly define them as just that. We don't claim that any of this is like facts.
Yeah, any spoiler videos we've done have been from other leaks that weren't generally related. Like, I don't think have we ever had like I don't think we've ever broke a spoiler on a film before.
Where we have been the first ones to break something that wasn't out there. And no.
I think the closest would be when Rob knew the guy that worked on Joker, and we got a little bit of an idea, but we all kind of knew some of that stuff already.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And even then, we didn't do a separate video about it.
No, it was
the closest thing would be to some things that we said early on in before the release of Star Trek Discovery. And the one relatively specific story-wise thing, because we broke that video and it was still early in development, that was changed in reshoots. So everything else we said turned out to be accurate. But
I remember we did like
still rumors that were out there.
Yeah, so, like a Daredevil Deadpool, and the other ones we did though. Yeah, that was stuff that was already out. And we just covered it.
But the whole thing about the Joker spoilers, like, come on, we couldn't have guessed all of that, really.
Well, yeah, because like what you said, and the whole thing was it was just one part of the scene, so we kind of just knew one bit of it, and that was it. And in the end of the film, like in the grand scheme of things, as it generally goes, when you're filming a scene in a movie, especially if like you're an extra or whatever, you feel like that entire movie is about that one scene. And then when you go see the movie, you realize, oh, it's only in there for 2 seconds. You know, it's like, yeah, so like it was kind of a grain of salt thing, but some of it kind of popped in there, but it wasn't nearly the that, unless it got kind of cut down. And that was, we kind of got the hint that it was a very anti-Trump kind of message going through the film with the protesters and all that shit. But I'm sure either that was toned down or just, again, it was one of those things that, like I said, when you're filming a scene like that, you feel like, oh, this is what the whole movie's about.
Yeah. But basically, in short, no, we're not all that worried.
No.
And then JP Photography says for $9.99, isn't Pattinson the only Batman actor who was caught having sex with his lead actress on the Batmobile when he thought everyone was gone home? Yes, he is the only one who got caught. I wouldn't be surprised if there were
rumored,
but he's the only one.
We should say allegedly.
Yeah, it's true. Allegedly got caught. Although I have heard from very good sources.
Well, I can tell the story of why we even told that story or even did that video. But Rob was going to say something quick. Go ahead.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine Adam West knocking boots with Lee Merriweather.
Oh fuck, he did all kinds of shit in that Batmobile. Probably, he's like, my love stains are all over the Batmobile. But no, like it was funny because that was like it broke as a we got this covered story, I think, or some shit like that.
Something like that. Like, we got this covered. Giant.
So
it was
one of those.
So we
Yeah.
laughed about it and just tossed it aside. And then I'm not going to say who, but we were in discussion with one of our people from the inside. I think it was before or after a show, and they brought it up independently. And they're like, wait, that was real? They're like, oh, yeah, I totally heard about it from so-and-so. And we're like, what? And we're like, yeah, and this is what they told me. And so that's why we did it. It was just like, wait a minute, you're serious? Like, that wasn't bullshit kind of a thing?
I thought it was 100% bullshit. I'm like,
Yeah, we're convinced that it was either bullshit or just whatever.
The part about Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson dating, I thought, okay, listen, there's a nugget, there's some truth to that, because she flew back to New York to get a divorce from her husband. And it's kind of a thing that co-stars working in close quarters, they tend to develop
I
relationships.
guarantee you 90% of most leading actors have bonked.
Well, you're holed up in a foreign country for months at a time. You don't know anybody there, so things are bound to happen.
It's just one of those things. No, but it's just an interesting story. Now, do we still believe it? I don't unbelieve it.
It's a fun. Hey, listen, even if it's not true, it's a funny story.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those funny stories. If anything, it gives him more
street cred.
Street cred. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. What about you, Michael? What did you think when you heard about this?
I don't want to sound like an old man, but I guess I'm not going to get around it because I'm fast becoming an old man. When I was a kid, it was Kim Cattrall taking nude pictures of herself on the set of the Enterprise in Undiscovered Country. Now it's
happened.
Yeah, and Leonard Nimoy called her into his office the next morning and said, "You will give me the negatives, you will give me any prints, otherwise you will not work on this movie and you will not work again." Like, he was dead set on, and she handed everything over.
Ah, damn it.
So, but I just think, well, of course, now the next generation or 2 generations later, it's, well, we're not just taking photos, we're getting it on, full Monty on the Batmobile. And I'm cynical, I'm Gen X, and I'm not surprised. At the same time, I don't know if it's going to affect the movie one way or the other. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not like one of those things where, the people were already dating and then they started to fall apart during the production of the film. And so it caused all this tension and everything like that. So, yeah.
No, the only reason actually we brought it up is because it kind of fed into the tensions that already were rising on the set from what we've been hearing.
Right.
And a lot of people seem to kind of want to play down too, which adds more credence to them. They don't understand that is when you get people like, oh no, those are bullshit. You guys are believing that? No, everything's perfect. Everything's fine. Everything's getting along great. It's like, wait a minute here. And I mean, there's some stuff I don't even want to get into because there's some pretty bad shit that can be connected and tied, including to go down with all that COVID shit that happened and stuff. And the fact that he was the one to bring it to the set. So yeah, I'm not even going to get into that. But like, yeah, we've heard nothing but horror stories coming out of that movie.
Oh, well, yeah.
To the point where basically Reese is like, when we're done with this, I don't ever want to work with you again.
I don't blame him for that. I mean, I've heard all the stories about how he refuses to work out and he didn't keep himself in shape. He was going to let the costume do the acting, which is a dumb thing to do.
And even if he's trolling, that's a dumb thing to say.
It's really dumb, but also the costume looks like it's made out of a bunch of hefty bags. It's the ugliest looking Batman costume I've ever seen.
I hate it. It's such a disgusting costume.
That's the
Arkham worst. You know what? Honestly, I prefer like that ridiculous gray stealth costume in Batman and Robin to it.
Yeah.
That's a version of the Arkham Knight costume, I think.
Well, it doesn't.
Yeah, but he's not big enough or like in the right places to fill it out, Rob.
No, he's not. I mean, you could tell.
It's a poor man's Daredevil costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not a huge fan of that costume to begin with, but I mean, to me, my definitive costume that I always loved If you're not going to go with the classic blue-gray scheme, is always the original Michael Keaton costume. It just, to me, it captured the Batman look the best. And then probably next would be Ben Affleck's, because it captures the Frank Miller Batman, and he can fill it out like a beast. So
Right.
You don't like Christian Bale's one? Or?
no, I fucking hate that costume.
Yeah, that is
Hate it with
ridiculous.
passion. The only thing that's good about it is the tactical aspect of it, that it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll take it over the Pattinson outfit, though.
oh yeah, probably will.
It was designed so that he would be comfortable in it for the long days of shooting. That was the big thing, and so he could turn his head.
I liked. Okay, here's the thing: is and again, I mean, this is just my opinion, but like in the aspect of the overall film, the way they kind of brought together that, like, okay, it's kind of based in a tactical suit, and then they add in the helmet, and then they add in, you know, the different aspects of it, and, you know, even if it was for the comfortable aspect of him personally as the actor, it made sense in the character, because as much as I love the Michael Keaton Batman, he clearly can't turn his fucking head. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's certain aspects that gets kind of difficult to, okay, how is Batman going to see people coming from the left, right, and even kind of sensing people from the behind him when he's almost completely closed off on either side?
Yeah,
You know?
he was immobilized in the neck. Yeah, he had to. Yeah.
That's where the bat turn came from.
Yeah.
But as much as I love that outfit, it's just not practical. Like, yeah, so I totally understand the aspect of the Bale outfit. It's like, if you're going to be out doing this shit, you need to be able to move. You know, you need to be able to see what's going on. You need to be able to protect yourself. You know, and I even like that part in the second film where they're kind of having that discussion about, yeah, you can have mobility, but you're at the expense of making yourself vulnerable, like to knife attacks and shit like that. Like that's a real world kind of problem. You know what I mean? If you would have in this kind of a situation. Anyway, I'm rambling.
Moving on then. We deviated there.
Very
But
far.
then,
There is a
going back.
story to DC, but we can go do some more super chats here.
Going back to classic super chats,
Yes.
House Atreides says, "Have you guys seen the movie Nobody? It's in the style of John Wick, just not as serious. It opens slowly, but once it gets going, it's a fun movie. Looks fun. I haven't seen it.
I've heard a lot of good things about
I've heard
it.
good stuff. Yeah.
But
Michael,
the only thing
have
I'm
you
not
seen
gonna
it?
do-
I have not seen Nobody. No.
Rob, you ain't seen it yet, have you?
I haven't seen it yet, but I will.
It is on streaming for rental, but I'm not paying $20 just for a rental. I'll wait for the 4K Blu-ray, or at least till I can own it, or at least semi-own it digitally, however you want to put it. Long-term rental.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's really just long-term rental. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Not saying that's a good thing, but that's
the only thing
break.
preventing me right now, and I don't have a theater anywhere near me that's showing it. So,
Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity yet, but I'll get around to it. And then we have Hypergiver 2, who says, "Andre, happy belated birthday. As a fellow Dredd fan and active street judge, I extend to you a custom badge. Congratulations, Judge Einherjar. I am honored, and you don't have to take a long walk just yet. We shall patrol the streets together. And do some random searches and stuff. That's going to be awesome." And yeah. And then MJ1 Media says, "I saw and I liked the Shang-Chi trailer and plan to watch it, but the Mandarin in it won't be the same. His magic versus Iron Man's tech is iconic, and they blew it." Well, that's one thing. I hope that the fans of the Mandarin who were disappointed with Iron Man 3 will feel better by this movie. I really hope that this will be everything that you wanted to, since I get that the Mandarin apparently is a big deal here. So yeah, fingers crossed for you guys.
Well, you'll get to see
Personally,
Riri Williams take him on. So there you go.
Oh no!
For real? Riri
Yeah, you didn't know
Williams?
that series is coming?
No, I know the series was coming.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll end up. What do you think they're going to have happen eventually?
I don't know. You think I've done any research or spent any brain cells?
No,
on
I
it
haven't either. I'm
whatsoever?
just throwing shit out there, but I'm just saying, what do you think is
She's-
going to fucking happen?
She's gonna steal Tony Stark's tech. That's what's
Exactly. Well, yeah, we already know that.
and use it better than Tony Stark.
And use it better than Tony Stark by actually beating the real Mandalorian. Or Mandarin.
Mandarin. Yeah.
Mandarin. Yeah, you knew what I meant.
Yeah. Well, who knows? We'll see. Personally,
And
that's
or Robert Downey Jr. stuck being fucking Jeeves in the fucking machine.
oh my god.
You didn't know that they saw? Yeah, he's doing the voices. For
I heard some rumors to that, and that would be freaking horrible. Yeah. Anyway, moving on from there, Darth Toombs says for 10 British pounds. Thank you so much, mate. Brownies, huh? Well, you learn something new every day. I've always been more of a My Little Tauntaun fan myself. Loving the channel, guys, especially Kamran's insights. Yeah, well, thank you, and we love having Kamran on every chance we have the opportunity and privilege to do so. And then Stephen Otten says, Awkwafina in Speed 3. Otherwise, okay. The trailer was okay.
The only good thing I saw in that trailer is y'all know.
I don't know. I've forgotten the trailer already.
Awkwafina is that's god.
Helen Mirren's in it.
Oh, Helen, yeah, Helen is yeah. Oh, like we're on a first name basis, yeah.
I know, right? Well, we kind of know her, kind of, sort of.
Well, that's very kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of, kind of. Very sort of, kind of.
Yeah, I should say so. But then we also have, see,
what is Awkwafina?
Awkwafina is I don't know what she's either an Asian rapper or comedian, but I saw her one time. I read she got a development deal with Comedy Central, and they were just handing them out like candy a few years ago to any quote unquote millennial up and coming talent, and I use the word talent very loosely. And she did a rap song called My Vag, and I'm like, I couldn't figure out if it was serious or supposed to be funny. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? What is this supposed to be? And I'm like, how did she get a development deal? I was just I don't know if I was offended or just completely dumbfounded, you know, at that prospect.
Yeah,
I've never heard of this individual.
Well, be thankful you have.
I've heard of her, but that's about it.
I think I'll continue in my ignorance. And then Fuck Google O2 says for $5. Roy Thomas created it as a second kung fu character. Doug Moench made the character a real person. Not a superhero, but a spiritual fighter breaking away from his dad. Oh yeah, no, we saw that. We absolutely saw that in the trailer. But like these characters are always co-created. That's really important for the creators and their agents to stress the word co-created. So Roy Thomas then co-created Shang-Chi, although Doug Moench seemingly did much more. And then Darth Dianese says, I have Mad Missions 4 DVDs imported from the US. Love them. Cool. Hope you will enjoy them. And Super Blubberpuss says, I would pay to see Hollywood stop pandering to China. We don't need any more communism and tyranny. Yellow Flash 2 says he's going to become U.S. agent like in the comics. He has big anger issues.
Yeah, I thought
Obviously,
he was. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, sorry.
I was just going to say, I thought he was U.S. agent when I first saw the images of him. I was instantly like, oh, they're bringing U.S. agent into it. And then somebody told me, well, he's Captain America. And I'm like, so far. I bet you he's going to become U.S. agent.
I think that's like one of the most open secrets out there.
Mm-hmm.
Then Roll Titan said, if you guys insist on talking about the show, at least watch it. Yeah, we covered this already. If we cover it directly, other than complaining about how we don't want to see it, then of course we're going to see it. Planar Aspect says, "Hey Tom, put these $5 towards #1 crunchy with a Baja Blast or whatever you want from Taco Bell. Best restaurant.
Well,
Still
thank you.
waiting for the franchise wars."
I'm not a huge fan of the Baja Blast, but thank you so much. I will get some chalupas or something with that.
And
eventually.
Michael D. Falls says, "Happy belated birthday, Andre. No Rian Johnson Star Wars. Love to see Space 1999 reboot. Besides the TOS Enterprise, the Eagle spaceship was just as cool. Michael, would you like to see a Space 1999 reboot?"
I have the entire series on Blu-ray. I am actively trying to start collecting the vintage toys from that show. I have a lot of respect for that production. If you'd asked me 15 years ago, I'd have been like, cool. And now I've seen so many bad reboots and uninspired reboots. I'm like, no, like I'm not sure how to react at this point. I want Hollywood to move on. I want it to find new ideas and explore new things that can become new franchises for the 2020s and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Space 1999 has not been, restamped over and over again like Transformers and He-Man and all these others have been until they're just, pale echoes of what they once were. If it gets in the right hands and maybe it's handled the right way, maybe it can be, a hit. It's one of those deals where it's like, I need to see who the showrunner is going to be or the writer director first. But if it gets to that point and I hate the writer director, then I'm going to want to say, oh, I wish I'd said this never should have happened. So yeah, I know I'm talking all around it, but it's a hard thing to answer.
There was that one episode of Space 1999 I saw as a little kid about the big space octopus that was burning people alive, and I was like that, and I haven't watched it since.
Yeah,
that scared the bejesus out of me. Oh man,
yeah, and it was a really cool concept for a show, and it had really great performers in it, and it was handled in a really classy way, and I would hate for them to turn it into a parody. I would hate for them to just mess it up in a Rian Johnson style way. If you did like a sequel to the universe, that might be better. Like in other words, if it's space, obviously it's not 1999 anymore, but it would be space 2029 or whatever it is. And you had all new characters that were just part of the same society in the future and not touch the original, then I'd be fine with that. It all depends on how they handle it.
Yeah, it's all in the execution. That's for me. I think that the retrofuturism, like the visual presentation of that series, is so cool that I honestly, the only way that I would welcome any kind of a reboot to it is if they were to not update it to a modern look, but still do retrofuturism. Go back to. If we had made this in if they had made it in 1975, with 1975 era designers and everything, but they had access, to our special effects, and we can give all of those stories an extra write over with modern day storytelling sensibilities.
Yeah,
I don't want them to have something special.
Yeah, I don't want them to change the visual philosophy behind the production design of the show at all. What I was saying is, if you want to safely not retroactively ruin these classic characters, you just literally say, this is like a decade in the future of that universe, and it's a new group of space explorers or whatever within the same setup. But yeah, I would not want to in any way impact the production philosophy behind Space 1999. That's one of the sells. That's one of the selling point for that show.
They did a whole season Archer in 1999. So
I want Spaceballs 1999.
I just ordered that on 4K.
I know, it's awesome. But I know we're getting close to being caught up here on Super Chats, Andre, but I know we got some news we want to get to as well.
Yeah, let me do a couple more super chats, just a couple more, and then we'll get into the next news to get into. Ben Darth Daka says, if Johnson wants to work on The Mandalorian, he can, by polishing Mando's helmet between shoots.
I'm surprised he wasn't like the head mold for that sculpting of that helmet, because his head is so perfectly round that they could just use him as like a helmet mannequin.
Oh shit!
Well, he could have probably also empty the latrines after or the porta potties after he finished the location shoot. But yeah,
I just found something so funny about that.
Yeah, and Vigilante Williamson says, "Don't do the stream. We have to ignore the bad." Yeah, for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there may be good stuff in it, but honestly, I'm more inclined towards just going to skip that. Cyber Soldier says, "LOL. Hey guys, are still going to review STD season 4 and Star Trek Picard season 2? You know what? I'm not sure we are. We'll see, but we may not. We may sit those out. We'll see when we get there." And Vigilante Williamson had already said that Filoni and Ruin are friends. So, but yeah, I dispute. I'm not sure that Rian Johnson is ever going to go home to Dave Filoni and have a beer while they watch football. I don't think they're that kind of friends. Valiant Renegade says, "I doubt he was offered anything. This is just Ryan trying to get attention again with more trolling." It seems more like it, although it comes from a third party, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the motivation here. Brett Cohen says, "I hope Rian Johnson gets a Mando episode and nobody watches it on principle. Hashtag Disney supports oppression." Very good point. And Troy Pacelli says, "In light of the drunk 3PO and RK Outpost vendor screw, this community needs someone."
Yeah, we got this one.
Oh, yeah, we got this one, yeah. Dash D says, "Hey, Tom, I thought you were going to get Mandy's..." Wait. Yeah, Tom, you can read this. It's like codified. I'll send it in the private.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. I thought you were going to get Mandy's BOBS ER Mandy to model your amber shirt. Johnson's ego comes first. Okay.
And while you can digest that, Revcord says, "As an MLP fan, there are always... My Little Pony. As a My Little Pony fan, there are always crazies in any fandom, but this guy seemed crazy. And note, I am conservative." Yeah, you see, that's exactly what I'm saying. I think it's unfair to label the bronies, because everywhere else you can have some crazies, and crazies will do stuff and they'll be attracted to any kind of things where you can dream yourself away a little bit, and it's not reflective of other fans at all. So yeah.
Says, "Hey Tom, I thought you were going to get Mandy's boobs or Mandy to model your amber shirt. Johnson's ego comes first over even set content." Yeah, I don't really remember saying we're going to do that, but I remember saying that the real shirt on her looked better than the one we got from our this one here from the model, because the shirt actually looked a lot better than that as far as I was concerned. But yeah, it's something I thought about doing. But thanks for reminding me on that. Maybe I'll have her take some pictures or some video for me to model it instead. There you go.
Yeah, well, but we'll see what we do with that. And then Dark Gift Comics Presents says, "What's up?
Hey, Anthony.
Been listening while driving around. Great show today." Well, thank you. Glad you approve. And Al Adolfson says, "I understand Louise Dreyfus' character is defined in Black Widow and was supposed to be released prior to Falcon and the Winter Soldier."
So in this case, now they're reversing it, using this as a setup, and then we'll find out who she is in that.
She can't spare a square. That's a Seinfeld reference to her.
Yeah. And then Greg Howard says 90% sure Tarantino was the one not interested. If you're talking about these Star Trek thing, that was never happening. Revkor also says, for G4 of My Little Pony, it's the writing. It had a lot of well-written episodes. Well, I'm sure it must have to bring in so many people. Arthur Jackson says, ditching Lord and Miller was a mistake. They did Cloudy with Meatballs 1 and 2, 21 and 22 Jump Street, the Lego movies before they produced Into Spider-Verse in 2018, the same year Solo came out. Yeah, see now, that's a Snyder cut that I would not mind seeing, the Lord and Miller cut. And Master Clockwork says, I'm getting Disney Plus for free anyway, so I'll watch season 3 of The Mandalorian for... And then he says, for driter of niser, meaning for shits and giggles, but I'll skip any episode Rian Johnson is involved with. So yeah, that's a good motivation right there. And then Notto sent us a $14.99 super chat with no message attached.
Or at least,
so either there was none or it was redacted, but we thank you for your support in either event. And with that, Tom, we had other news.
well, we know there was some MCU news flying around, which we're going to get to. But we have something coming across the transom, as Rob likes to say, from our buddies over at Geekosity. Marvel may be poking around with a certain DC director for a Ghost Rider reboot.
Indeed.
I'm out.
You know what? Before, my first reaction was that too, but then I'm like, oh, God damn it. It's wrong.
Hello.
This is one thing that might lend to his.
No, I'm Tom. I'm more interested in the other story you had up there.
I know you are now, Rob. just ignore it. But before we get on,
now that I've seen it.
Before we get on the Zack Snyder shouldn't be making these kind of movies train. This is one that kind of lends to his abilities. I think he could, the visual stylings of Ghost Rider, the dark, dour kind of attitude of the story. It might work with him. Now, I'm not against it, but I'm not too sure about it.
I am only for it if they set his head on fire for the show. If they do that, fine with it. But if they don't, then I'm out. I just look. All right, full confession. I've never been that big a Ghost Rider fan anyway, so I admit total ambivalence in my bias.
I don't know that anyone has been that big a Ghost Rider fans.
You know what? I was when I was a kid. I always thought
Really?
Ghost Rider was really fucking cool. I was semi-disappointed by all the films we've gotten to this point. I didn't even watch the version we got on S.H.I.E.L.D. because of all the stuff I heard about it. I'm like, nope. But I'm trying to remember my first introduction to the character, but when I first saw him, just the imagery of it and everything, it just I gravitated towards it. I don't know why, other than just I think it was kind of the Skeletor thing too. Just kind of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a cool image. And that's the thing, from my point of view, at least, Ghost Rider. I remember, I read a whole batch of the original Ghost and the Rider comics. And honestly, this may be sacrilege, but that original run of Ghost Rider comics, I thought they sucked. I read them once and I was like, why the hell did I waste money on this? But yeah, it was cool visuals, really cool visuals. So to me at least, Ghost Rider is the visuals. And that is one thing where you are going to need a really, really strong visual director.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. And that's the thing. If he works within Marvel, this is probably not going to be the same one we got before because S.H.I.E.L.D. is null and void now. And he will be working under the purview of
Kevin Feige.
So he will have somebody to kind of keep the reins over him. Now, I guess the veracity of this is the big question. Are they really? And I mean, Mikey's got a pretty good track record. So take that into consideration. I could see Disney pulling this right now, especially off the heels of the popularity of the Snyder.
It would actually be a really, really good PR win for them in multiple ways. For one thing, they would get to snatch a DC director after, DC snatched James Gunn for one movie. But beyond that, it would kill the Snyderverse kind of like once and for all, because that would be the signal. None of this is gone. Imagine the signal effect that would have among the DC fans. Like the Snyder fans, the built-in Snyder fans, they would follow him over to Ghost Rider. And DC would lose those fans. They wouldn't be coming back again. I mean, that would be complete havoc over at DC offices. And you think like things are bad right now. If they don't have Snyder to fall back on, if they have to move into the Hamadaverse direction with the internal strifes and everything like that are there, and with the fan base that used to be split no longer being so split but halfway gone instead, that would be a pretty severe blow to the competition, I think, if Marvel were to go and swipe Snyder.
Yeah.
We talked about this, and I'm not affiliated with Zack Snyder, and also I think we need to drop the hate. We don't have any room for it, so I don't know. I'm so out with Zack Snyder at this point for a myriad reasons that I'm just, I get everything that you just said, and I agree with it strategically, and I think that in that sense, it could be a kind of a kind of win for Disney. But I wonder from a Kevin Feige perspective, like, does he really plug into Zack Snyder's style and everything for the MCU? Do you think Zack Snyder could meet Kevin Feige halfway or 3/4 of the way for Kevin Feige's vision of the MCU? Or is this going to be something that exists in that alleged R-rated, untouched Deadpool universe that they say they're not?
That is a good point, because actually we've been hearing where they are going to be doing a few darker stories. And I think Ghost Rider was mentioned in that, wasn't it originally, Andre?
I think so. That he was like one of like those Marvel Midnight Suns kind of like characters that they do want to go darker with.
If they do that, then I'm fine. Laissez-faire, blank check. Let them go do what they want. I probably won't go see it.
I don't know about full-blown R-rated, but...
Well, I'm saying if they're doing it in the same way with Deadpool.
Like, what were you saying, Michael? Sorry.
I was saying that because they say they're not going to mess with Deadpool, I didn't know if they were going to allow other characters that level.
They might.
Yeah. So
that is a possibility. And I have a feeling that they're kind of paying very close attention to how Star overseas is doing right now, and they'll probably release something very similar over here, or they'll recalibrate Hulu into an adult version of Disney Plus in some way, shape, or form. Because I don't think that's out of their purview. I think they're paying a lot of attention to that, and I don't think it's any coincidence that we're hearing about Predator and Alien so much. And they're going to have a hard time doing those franchises in the PG-13 realm. But I remember when I had my insider on Blade, that was a lot of what I kept hearing back is, it's going to be PG-13, but it's going to be a very hard PG-13. And really, and I brought this up a few times, so I apologize to those who have heard it, but if you really look at Blade and you take out the F words and any possible nudity, there's pretty much everything else you can get away with in PG-13. Because the MPAA are pretty lenient when it comes to monsters and vampires and shit like that, and zombies and stuff like that. It's usually the human element that they tend to gravitate to the R rating.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that being developed. Now, I'm not so sure that we're going to see Zack Snyder do it, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of visual take they would do. Because remember, there's been 2 Ghost Rider movies already, and of the 2, I actually kind of liked one of them. and it looked spectacular.
The second one, you mean?
Of course, the second one. I know that this was the one that really flopped and everything like that, but I thought that the second one was kind of cool, and Ghost Rider looked fantastic in it. I didn't like how it looked in the first one, but in the second one, that's where he was like burnt to a crisp. Even the skull was burnt, and every time he sat on something, that became like hellified. So like he goes into like a car, it becomes a hell car. He goes into like a construction machine. That construction machine becomes a construction machine from hell. That was pretty cool. So I hope they go like more in that direction.
Yeah.
If this were to happen. But that's me.
Would they go Johnny Blaze or would they go Robbie Reyes?
Well, it's to this day and age, they're obviously going to go Robbie Reyes.
Yeah.
But Johnny Blaze is going to be out, and so is like, what's the other guy? Like, not Taylor Kitsch, but like John Ketch or something, the second guy in there.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll see. Speaking of Marvel, the other big news that seems to be hitting the internet, and this is funny for us in many ways, because a name that's not unfamiliar to us in any way, shape, or form is the one, the only Avi Arad. That's a name that we've been very well aware of for how many years now, Andre?
A lot.
Let's see. The channel started in 2016, so since 2016.
Yeah. do you think Frank Marshall and Avi Arad used to like get together and just like party?
I don't know if Frank would hang out with him. He seems like a weirdo, like not in a like goofy weirdo, like dark weirdo.
I can picture Frank. Are you kidding me? You know what that guy's into?
Exactly. He'd be like, there's only certain things I'll do. There's lines I won't cross. And
Yeah. And Willie Woodward wonders, so that's why we reposted the video featuring Avi Arad. Yeah, it was. We put that in the community post for those that missed it. One of the oldie but goodie videos that we have is actually one of like the whole Spider-Man cinematic saga and how Avi Arad features into it. So we reposted that yesterday in the community feed.
Well, you could have almost posted on one of our other videos as well. And that was, if you recall, and that's what this has to do with, when we reported that the reason we're getting all these oddball versions of the characters instead of the straight Marvel versions that we're used to had to do with somebody at Marvel, so we thought. It may not have been so much now, so. It may have been Avi Arad, or Sony, isn't that the case? Sony, we said, not Marvel. Sony. So we know who it may have been behind it at Sony, though. And it was Avi Arad, it sounds like. Yeah. According to this, the Israeli-American-born producer Avi Arad isn't exactly a fan favorite, despite being one of the original brains behind the beloved Marvel Cinematic Universe. Arad hasn't shared Marvel Studio president Kevin Feige's vision. As a result, he found himself ousted not just from the MCU, but also reportedly from his control over the beloved Spider-Man films. Okay. A new leak shows us that just how bad things have gotten between Marvel and Arad. Now, we already knew that they had a very bad relationship. And I think we even kind of put out there that he was not in control anymore, if I'm not mistaken. A chat revealed on social media, though, reportedly, that Arad had a huge role to play in the first two MCU Spider-Man films. He was, however, cast aside when Marvel and Sony were renegotiating the beloved character in 2019. We can't verify this and if this is authentic or not, but it should have some element of truth given Arad's presence in earlier Spider-Man films, including Sam Raimi trilogy and Mark Webb's movies. And of course, as you can see here, he was present at the Spider-Verse premiere as well. I knew he's an executive producer on that too, if I'm not mistaken. If you haven't heard of Arad, he was, we get into his whole history. We're not going to get into all that, but what he did get into was Toy Biz. And for those who don't know, Toy Biz was a company that had to do with Marvel. And then because they acquired Marvel, and then because of that, Avi became the president. Basically, following Marvel's bankruptcy in 1996, Arad was involved in the fraught negotiations with Carl Icahn and Raw Perlman over the control of Marvel Eventually, he came out on top, and Toy Biz won the rights. Let's see here. You should be reading this, Rob. I suck at reading. You know that, right? Rob.
Yeah, I'm here. How far down are you here?
Stop watching porn.
But I just got to the good part.
I'm at the picture with
Let me see. I gotta pull it up here.
Andrew Garfield. So like 2 paragraphs above that, basically. Or paragraph above that.
Okay.
Or no, paragraph below that now.
Yada yada yada. Okay. Arad's troubles with Marvel. Arad's controversial history of Marvel is well documented. Due to his clout, he often made big creative decisions, which did not always end well. In 2012, he told Omelette that he was responsible for scrapping Raimi's Spider-Man 4 in favor of a reboot. The problem was we didn't have a story that was strong enough and warranted making another movie, he said. He also played a pivotal role in Marvel's first 2 Spidey films, Homecoming and Far From Home. That role is what landed Arad in trouble. Sony contracted Arad to help shape the Spidey films. Pardon me. And since they had to find creative control, they had final creative control, yada yada. A lot of Feige and Marvel's ideas never made it to film. Twitter user Obeid, whatever his name is, Johnny. Twitter user Johnny shared screenshots and said, "Not saying this is true at all or anything of that nature, but Avi Arad has his track record of controlling things I love, Homecoming and Far From Home. But if this is true, y'all that dislike MCU Spider-Man can no longer blame Holland, Watts, Feige, and Marvel." The screenshots were originally shared by @SaintsAvenger 2016 from a Spider-Man fan account. Okay, there we go. We have Homecoming originally was going to have a Cap cameo, Iron Man and Rhodey make appearances, causes boat accident, and then Spider-Man saves the day. Arad sign. It's all divided up there. Well, anyway, you can see that. There's no comment from Sony, Marvel, or Arad himself, so we can't say for sure if this is true. That said, Arad had a massive amount of control over Raimi and Webb's Spidey films and the Sony Spider-Verse, so it is likely he had a lot of involvement in the MCU films. It's hard to say if he truly has been pushed out of his role for No Way Home. Arad is still listed as producer for the upcoming No Way Home, Morbius, and Into the Spider-Verse sequel, which means he still has some role to play. Yeah, but that could just be name only.
Well, we'll get into that, yeah.
Given the secretive second deal signed by Sony and Marvel in 2019, there is little we know about the details. Nonetheless, Arad has become a punching bag on social media since the messages have gone public. Since Avi Arad is no longer involved with No Way Home, I'm so much more excited for this movie. One person tweeted, another said, I'm becoming more and more hopeful for No Way Home again. Until we get more details, it's best you take this with a pinch of salt for now. Yeah. Hey, they stole that from us.
Okay, well, I want to
yada, nobody cares. Okay.
I want to direct this at Andre right away because, as I brought up ahead of time, as we reported a while ago, the whole stipulation on the characters came from Sony that they could not use the original versions of the characters. Do you think Avi was one of the people behind that, Andre?
Probably.
I think that's kind of what they're saying here. Is that's part of where all this resistance came from, yeah.
Because he would have been more closely aligned with the Sony camp than he would have with the Marvel camp, because he did not go out from there in good terms, not in the slightest.
No, and him and Feige kind of were butting heads near the end too. From
they were.
Some of that proof is even in Bob Iger's book, because between like Ike Perlmutter and other things like that, there was a lot of things that Feige kept wanting to do that he kept getting pushed down. And I have a feeling Avi was part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if he then asserted his demonic influence in the Spider-Man movies as well, that might explain a few things. I don't think that he's the only one to blame, and we haven't heard before that he had like any real involvement at all, so I'm not gonna willing to buy this as, yeah, this is fact and this is how it happened. It's a very interesting perspective, though.
That's where I think I can see this being possibly true, is because we just kept hearing Sony stipulated. We didn't hear any specific names.
Exactly, and within that, the door is wide open for Sony actually being code for Avi Arad.
Avi Arad, Amy Pascal, you name it.
Yeah.
Even though Amy has nothing to do with Sony anymore. That's the thing, is these people are so embedded in these characters that and that's like the article points out at the end, is regardless, he's still attached, just like Amy Pascal. Michael, what's your take on this? Do you know of Avi Arad and his shenanigans?
Yeah, I know a little bit about Avi Arad. I did some research on him for a recent video I did on Pride of the X-Men, which was the one episode X-Men animated show of the 1989 Marvel Universe Hour, or Marvel Action Hour, whatever it was called. And at the time, there was a mention of him. Him and Stan Lee in the 80s were constantly out in Hollywood trying to get projects going that were, licensing Marvel stuff, and it didn't really go anywhere. Now, as far as the Toy Biz thing is concerned, I do remember the Toy Biz thing coming into it, but I seem to remember more surrounding Toy Biz regarding that guy, Ira Perlmutter. I believe
Ike Perlmutter.
Ike Perlmutter, right?
Yeah.
Who was big around the Toy Biz company. That's all very weird too, because if you track the licensing, it's very bizarre. It's in the 70s, Mego got the license for both Marvel and DC. In the 80s, Mattel got the license for Marvel, and DC went to Kenner. Then by 1989, Toy Biz for 1 year had the license for Marvel and DC again, but then DC went back to Kenner. That turned into Hasbro. Mattel got DC again. It's very confusing. And then Toy Biz shutters itself and gives everything to Hasbro after a certain point, which Hasbro then got Marvel, and now DC is with McFarlane. It's very messed up. The whole thing is really bizarre.
Now, does the Hasbro Marvel thing, does that coincide with the sale to Disney by chance?
Are you talking about the Marvel, selling Marvel to Disney?
Yeah.
That's a good question. It might very well
because I think, doesn't Disney have like an exclusive deal with Hasbro or some shit?
Yeah, they do. Although there was, I want to say there's something that Disney makes that or Disney has that's made by another toy company.
But, they've got other stuff that's licensed, but I think there's like some direct deal that has to do with like figures or something like that.
And it's bizarre because they sell Disney Store branded figures of some of their properties that aren't Hasbro. Like they're the Star Wars figures at the Disney Store used to have this whole like die-cast metal figure range. They were posable metal figures that were about 5 inches tall, or 5 or 6 inches.
Maybe it's because they were metal.
Yeah, it might have been a whole. Yeah,
because like I know, going back to like Ike Perlmutter and Toy Biz altogether, I know they were the ones behind the whole big argument with what an action figure is or whatever it is, and what a doll is, and all this shit, and the shipping part of it, and how it costs less to ship something that's not considered humanoid as opposed to like a doll because of the tax difference and all this shit. So that's where he like had all the Marvel characters not considered human, and it was like some big court case from back in the day. Somebody's going to have to really like clean it up for what I'm saying, but I don't know if you even know anything about that, Michael, but I would think you would have heard about that.
I heard about it, but I haven't looked into it.
Okay. Yeah. So like, I don't want to go too deep into it without knowing all the specifics, but yeah, these guys got a deep history in the whole toy business and comic book business. So
yeah. And just to address Monkey in the chat, he thinks I don't understand business. If you look into any licensing history, okay, you're going to go down a rabbit hole. You're going to go down a labyrinth.
Check out Michael's channel. He does a lot of historical. Like the thing is if
Michael understands this, yeah, absolutely.
If there was anybody who's probably going to make the definitive story on this, it'd probably be him. But he would obviously want to do the research first, is what he's saying. He just doesn't know it well enough yet to comment.
It's really weird, and they get they get labyrinthian with the legalities of all this. It's not so cut and dry that somebody can just be an expert on all of them at the same time. So,
an exclusive deal is another thing. It's like there's all kinds of loopholes and ways to get around things.
Yeah,
like there's something that Andre and I are looking into now. I don't know how deep he wants me to get into it, but it has to do with He-Man.
Yeah. I
don't know if you know anything about that, Michael.
Somebody else actually owns it now or something, or Mattel's going to lose the rights.
Universal.
Yeah.
So if you know anything about this, Michael, please hit me up in private about it, because we're definitely digging into it. We're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on here.
Okay. I'll dig around and then we'll.
Anything you find out from the toy end of things or anything, that'd be great, because we're looking into it. But awesome. The short version for those who may be wondering, go ahead, Andre, if you want to take this one.
Yeah, no, because basically this is something that was released in a YouTube video from someone that is affiliated with, or
used to be affiliated with Mattel.
Used to be with Mattel. It was posted almost 2 weeks ago. I actually got an email about it today that's saying that we have to look into this, but rest assured we were already aware of it. We're trying to dig into it. We're still digging. That's why we haven't done a video about basically how the entire He-Man license will soon revert to Universal from Mattel. And this seems incredibly weird off the surface that it would revert to Mattel. No, sorry, would revert to Universal, because that means that at some point, Universal must have taken over everything. But when the hell did that happen, and what kind of an agreement was that?
Yeah, because this has to do with toys too. Yeah, not just toys, but all merchandise.
The whole thing.
I feel like it has something to do. It's got to have something to do with classic media. Did Universal buy classic media?
Yes, and I brought that up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And anything you know about that, please send that on over to Michael, because like the basis, the short version is the reason why there's so much of this Masters of the Universe stuff isn't just because it's selling. It's because Mattel has the first right to refusal on any merchandise that Universal wants to make. So when Universal decides, oh, we want to do this, Mattel's like, okay, we'll do it. Because if they don't, then Universal can go to somebody else and do it.
Right.
How amazing would that be? He-Man from Hasbro.
I know. Which means we'll never find the figures, and they'll all be exclusives, and it'll be horrible.
But not only did they buy the rights from classic media, which included the old Filmation shows and that kind of stuff, I think they bought the entire franchise lock, stock, and barrel from Mattel in some deal that gave Mattel at least first right to refusal on any toys, so they can still make toys. But I don't know if they'll have the rights to He-Man anymore whatsoever after, was it 2023?
Yeah, I think so. And that's insane. I mean, what kind of a horrendous deal did they do there to Universal? That's we have to try to find out what we can.
That's what we're trying to figure out the specifics of, because I mean, I posited, and this is just my speculation, is that they needed some money, and they took a deal.
Yeah, you might be right.
And since they have the first right to refusal, then they're like, look, we can still keep making He-Man toys. We just don't own the franchise anymore.
There's a lot of stuff on the precipice right now, between this situation and, of course, the guys who are now suing to get the rights back for Predator from Disney. I mean, we're at a inflection point in rights and copyright for the entertainment industry, for sure.
Yeah, and for those who don't know what that is, it's a 35-year rule that that was brought in, I think, late 70s or mid 70s, but it just came into effect in recent years. But if you're the sole creator or creators of a property, you have the right to go back and get your copyright on said property. And this has happened already with Terminator and James Cameron, but then he turned right back around and made a deal with the people who had already been working on it, which was Skydance. Correct me, Andre.
Say it one more time.
Skydance? Is that what it is?
What was the question?
About the 35-year rule. Cameron went and got Terminator back, but then he went
to Skydance. Yeah. He licensed it right back to Skydance again. Yeah. Because he's not doing anything with it.
Yeah, and there's other people who have, and we had the whole situation with Friday the 13th and a few other properties. Mr. H was talking about how Clive Barker has talked about it, but he's afraid if Clive Barker does that, he'll just buy the rights and sit on them, which is possible as well. And then you also have like some weird split in those, right? Like, and that's the other thing you're going to come to is splits. Friday the 13th already has a split now in the rights. So until those things are all kind of the appeals and all that kind of shit goes through, we're stuck in a randomly weird place where things are going to get kind of funky when it comes to certain franchises. But I'm not against this because it's the one kind of thing that some people have to combat the Mickey Mouse rule and where you can avoid things like Simon and Schuster in the future. But yeah, I don't know if Michael has anything to say on that, but yeah.
No, I'm really just soaking all that in that you're saying, Tom. I'm just trying to I almost.
Do you know what the Mickey Mouse law thing was, or whatever that Disney kept fighting to extend the copyright laws?
Yeah, yes, I do remember that happening, but I think they kiboshed that, if I recall.
I think it's still in effect, but like Mickey Mouse and a couple of the other characters are going to be up here in like the next couple of years.
Yeah, because they said that Steamboat Willie was finally going to go public domain or something.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have any more avenues to do anything. The only avenue I could see them running is they could probably argue Mickey is like their icon of Disney, so they could maybe like resubmit it as like some kind of logo. But what are they going to do with the rest of the characters? They can't say that for every one of them. You know what I mean? When it comes to Donald and Goofy and all that shit, because those are all going to come up for public domain pretty soon too.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do about that. But Disney has always found a way before, so I'm sure they'll find some kind of way to do it again.
Michael, anything to add on that? Or
it sounds to me like from the chat, you just need to get Monkey Jeebus in here because apparently he has answers to everything and he knows everything. So why don't you just bring his ass in here and have him answer everything?
Oh, okay. I haven't been keeping up with what he's been saying, so yeah. Rob, I know you had to check out here soon. Was there anything you wanted to add to the discussion before you had to go?
Yeah. They're gonna extend the copyright on me forever. Okay, never mind. Okay, yeah. So Mickey's a corporate. It's gonna become a corporate logo. I think that's part of it. I think that's what you're trying to say, Tom. Right? That's the exception. Yeah, but
like they can like reestablish it as a.
Not so much
an actual logo, not a character. Yeah.
When was the last time you saw Mickey Mouse in anything, really?
He had his own cartoon just a few years ago.
Yeah, they've had a few. Yeah. But they're generally
good, but they had it, and also like for the youngest of the kids, you have like loads of like Mickey and Donald stuff. But that's like for like the 3 and below.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway. All right. Well, that's all I got to say about that. Like Forrest Gump used to say. All right, everybody. I have got to jump. I gotta do some stuff. I gotta take care of some stuff. Everybody, how you have a good Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Yeah, more evidence that the movie industry is run out of ideas. Really, Rock'em Sock'em.
Didn't they already kind of do that with that Hugh Jackman movie?
Yeah, there's already Rock'em Sock'em Robots. It's called Transformers.
Well, no, like straight up. Like, what was the name of that? Real Steel?
I hated it.
Yeah, it wasn't that great of a movie, but that's basically what it was Rock'em Sock'em Robots, the movie.
Well, anyway, okay, I got to take care of a couple things. Everybody, if you can't be good, be bad. Take care of yourselves and each other. Andre, we'll see you next time. Tom, Michael, Retroblasting. Thanks for everybody. Everybody, if you can't be good, be bad. Yada, yada, yada. May the force be with you. Phone home. Go ahead, make my day. Take care.
All right.
That was a lot of pop culture references in one breath.
I try to do that, yeah. All right. See you later, everybody.
All right. Take care.
I think Star Wars is a documentary, so go figure.
Yeah. Well, we have a few more super chats that we have to get through. I just have to find. Oh yeah, there we were. Notto sent us for $4.99. Do you guys wonder if there are still a large number of Disney Plus bi-yearly subscribers waiting to expire in addition to the monthly subs already cancelled? Yeah, that's like the thing with streaming. It's a fickle business to not just to get new subscribers, but to maintain the ones you already have. And Tom and Michael, you guys, you will know this better than me, but I do believe that there are like a number of deals that were given in 1-year packages, and unless they have like something where they automatically renew unless you stop it, Disney could be like facing some cancellations soon by people who aren't even aware of it, couldn't they?
I believe so. Although I have heard from some friends that their Verizon accounts won't they're not charging them money for the free Disney Plus account, but they're like, I don't want Disney Plus anymore. I've heard this from just a few people, not a lot, but a few people. And the Verizon account is like, well, you don't have to worry about that. Enjoy your Disney Plus account. You're not getting charged for it. They're like, ugh. So Verizon's customer base in some aspect might still be sitting on Disney's subscriber total in practice, without actual revenue. I'm not sure how that works though.
There's like the thing that the revenue is actually less important than the numbers, because they have to keep the numbers up. And there's a reason why Disney said that they would now stop reporting Disney Plus numbers.
Yeah.
Unless they hit a new threshold. And they haven't reported a threshold since then.
I'm still curious because I was hearing that rumor. I'm waiting to see when if they do put out any numbers on Warner, because I heard the rumor was that they overtook Disney Plus numbers with Godzilla vs. Kong. So that'll be interesting to see in coming months how that's handled in the media. Because again, those are numbers we'll never really see. I don't think.
But on the face of it, I kind of believe it.
Oh yeah, I do too. I totally do.
Yeah.
But it makes complete sense, and it was number one again this weekend. It just goes to show that if you put something out there, regardless, it doesn't have to be like mind blowing, type of thing. Just something like Godzilla versus Kong, which is just mindless fun, something we haven't had in so long, and then at least something that wasn't like either, hindered in some way, shape, or form by either an agenda or, some other bullshit. I mean, whether you liked the movie or not, it was mindless goofball fun. And I enjoyed it for that. I don't know if you saw it yet, Michael, but
I haven't, but I've been wanting to. I've been caught up watching other things for some productions that I've been working on, but I do want to see it. And as a matter of fact, if I don't catch it on my HBO Max, I'll just buy it on 4K. I'm that confident. Yeah, I'm
sure it'll be. Well, that's one I'm sure they'll be bringing out on Blu-ray within the next couple months for sure.
Yeah.
And on that note, Kay wonders, does Disney Plus have Mr. Boogedy? If not, no need for Disney
I think
Plus.
they actually do, to be honest with you. And so, they've added a few things recently. They added the Ewok Adventures in HD, the films, and a few other things I was told. So, I mean, they have things on there. And as far as the Verizon thing, I heard that the ones ended in a year, but they ended up renewing it for, I believe, the top tier customers. And as far as like the renewal process goes, Andre, it just automatically renews unless you cancel it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because I was already like a month or two into my renewal when I canceled mine. And it took me a while to get my money back, but I finally got it back. But yeah. But they had to calculate whatever the difference was.
Oh, they prorated it or whatever?
Yeah.
Moving on from there, fuck Google 2 says Tom not knowing William Holden.
Sorry.
Only American.
Sorry, I know him. They in the scenes where nobody's talking and stuff, there's so many people with brown hair and it's just the way it was shot. I'm getting to know some of these older actors yet too. So you have to go
by you have to go by voices half the time in old movies because of the Technicolor and the way they did the makeup. Yeah, and the hairstyles were all the same because it was the 50s. So you have
instead of a lot of close-ups you'll cut to, you get a lot of medium or long shots, so you can't really tell who they are right away. Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
No, I was agreeing with you. Yeah.
And then on that note, Bill Galactica also says for $10, Tom, Jack Hawkins is who was the guide to William Holden in Bridge on the River Kwai. He was General Allenby and Lawrence, who was kind of supportive of Lawrence in the Arab Revolt in World War I. So there's the history lesson.
And full disclosure, I finally seen Lawrence of Arabia for the first time. What was it, last fall, Andre?
Something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I've only seen it once, and I loved it. It was a glorious film. So I hope to watch it again sometime soon. But having time to sit down and watch things is
That's a rarity.
pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Again, and that's the same reason why I still haven't finished the Snyder Cut. Although I just have 1 hour left.
Wow. So you're almost there.
Almost there. Just in time for Mortal Kombat.
In his defense, though, he did see Godzilla versus Kong first.
Yeah, I did go with that.
And I think that was the wise choice.
He didn't enjoy it as much as we did, but he understood our enjoyment of it.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've never been into giant monsters in the first place.
No.
So that's me. And then Durao On says, one of my favorite from this channel are Rob's and Tom's impressions, but I have yet to hear them do an Andre impression.
Really? You haven't heard me do
They do them all the time.
Oh, wow. I will toot my horn and say mine's a bit better than Rob's, because Rob's always turns into like Dracula.
Yeah.
But people have even tried to make me sing, as you know, Andre. That's the
Oh,
fun.
really? Okay. Yeah, that's going to be a challenge because I don't sing.
Earth-quaking, booty-shaking, let's get this fucker started.
That was pretty good, wasn't it? Yeah, Tom, we have to do a song together one of these days. Right?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Your part would be more like Vincent Price in Thriller, as I think was kind of the idea.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know, the Vincent rap where he's like, darkness falls across the, like just talking more so than singing.
Of course.
Andre's like, I do not sing.
There are limits. And then Darius Münchhausen says, should have known Andre was Aries. Happy birthday. Oh, thank you. Ram Bam 3000 says, did you see Johnny Depp released the police body cam footage of the room he supposedly trashed? Completely contradicted Heard's story. Yeah, facts have a tendency to do that in her case, don't they? Because
yeah, and I gotta say,
that's why she's harping about her truth.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't fit with actual truth.
In her mind, that happened. But no, I got to say, our buddies, Yellow Flash and Tug, and those guys have really done a great job keeping up with that. Even I think Quartering's even done some reporting on it as well. So that's not something we've talked about too much because it's a little out of our purview. But I do suggest you, if you want to keep up with that kind of stuff, check out their stuff. But yeah, I did see a little bit about that. But isn't that funny, Andre and Michael?
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it, Michael, but yeah.
I did not. I didn't see it.
Yeah, but basically the supposed room that was trashed by Johnny was in perfect condition. So they had the police body cam footage that got released. Yeah.
So that was all just a big bad rumor. Yep.
It was her making shit up as usual.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's actually starting to catch on to the normies. That's the best part, Andre, because it was trending all weekend on Twitter.
Yeah, I do believe that we have like a shirt that normies should
do
see
we?
more of. Yeah, do we? Don't we? We have
so.
Yeah, there we do. We have it right there.
The thing about this, though, is that it's been so long for the normies to catch on that is it too late for Johnny Depp's career to rebound?
No,
and
that has nothing to do with the normies. That is
Okay.
entirely Hollywood. Like
Right.
normies will accept Johnny Depp, no questions asked,
Yeah.
Okay.
and many people will even celebrate his comeback. I think.
I think we even seen some of that with Gina, because that's where a lot of the normies finally became aware of some of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of people, like even my buddy, who was one I use as an example, he has zero fucks to give about Star Wars.
Right.
And one of his main things is he sells through eBay, so he sells like a lot of collectibles and stuff. He only became aware of this because of the collectible market, but then when he was told about the situation by me, he's like, that's fucking stupid. And I've heard a lot of similar stories from other people where they're like, yeah, what's up with this Gina thing? And you even saw it on TV shows and other places kind of coming up. And, in some instances we had some idiots saying some stupid shit, like that one senator, but we're not going to get into that. But like, yeah, otherwise it's like a lot of normies are like, wait a minute, she got canceled for that? And I think that's why they tried to really run this, but it's not really a canceling kind of narrative for a while there, because they knew that the reaction was going to get out there, but it was too late. And then we got that article from Forbes And I think that really kind of put Disney on the spot. And then you got them being asked this shit on conference calls and shit on the investor calls or meeting or whatever it was. And it's like, the stuff is starting to hit home, I think, a little bit to them. And we're seeing it in other places, a lot more other places. I have a feeling hopefully sooner than later, it's gonna start to turn a little bit. The last 2 weeks alone, Bill Maher has talked about this shit on his show. So
I did see that.
Yeah. So I have a feeling it's on a turning trend.
Let's hope for sure.
Because I loved his line is like, if your movie is so fucking woke, then why did I fall asleep during it?
Yeah.
And once in a while, he does have a good line. I mean,
also, we just saw this week that Lindsay Ellis finally told the woke movement to go to hell. I mean,
it
she
was
did
a bit of an interesting take, but yeah.
Yeah, it was like a two hour thing on her. I didn't even know who she was until this past week, and I saw that and I was like, wow, when a 1 million subscriber person from their camp is telling them to go pound sand, you know that it's the beginning of the end somewhere.
Now Joey's trying to start a conspiracy that you and I are the same person, Andre. How can that fucking be? If that was the case, I'd always be Andre because he's cooler.
I'm just the end result of Tom doing. What's it called when you like speak with another voice again? Like when you like throw the voice. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like just Tom's puppet.
If that was the case, then you are not only a very good ventriloquist, or I am, or one of us is, but we have a split personality because we argue about some of the shit that it's like, why would you argue about that with yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
I use the term argue loosely, by the way. We don't like it's. I don't want to put out there like Andre and I are fighting. But no, when we discuss these kind of things, like there's times where it's like, no, that's not what I heard, or I don't think that's true, or I don't see that as the case, and we'll get into the discussion of it all.
Oh yeah, that's how you have discussions in any kind of like endeavor. That's how you ensure that good decisions are made. That's how you avoid groupthink. That's how you avoid being so convinced that you are right or that something is right that you release some bullcrap. That's the benefit of being a team. You need someone who can tell you this ain't right.
Speaking of team, one of our fifth Beatles is here. Script.
Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going?
Yes, well, one of our very valued members of the team. Michael, you've met Script Doctor, right?
Oh yeah, we've done a few. We've done at least one stream together.
At least a couple.
Yep. Oh yeah, good to see you, Mike.
Good to see you too.
Sorry, I was in a meeting for like 3 hours.
Well, that's a good thing, ain't it? That means you're working.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
And then now HM says Tom and Rob is really both of us. That could be. That's why he's always got to leave. He can't handle doing all three voices.
Well, it's like a ventriloquist act.
Yeah.
It gets a little tough once you get two marionettes on that stage between you. So
that's right.
Yeah. And also, White Knight points out, no, Andre, that is how mature adults conduct themselves. It is why Hollywood has so many problems. It can't do what you and Tom do. Script, is that accurate? Is there no room for dissent or for speaking common sense and ensuring that the right decisions are made in Hollywood?
No, there's plenty of room for it because it's happened before. Not so much recently, but it has happened before. I mean, one of the most legendary examples would be between Irvin Kershner, Gary Kurtz, and George Lucas during The Empire Strikes Back. There's a lot of stuff that George didn't want to do that Irvin Kershner did. And Gary Kurtz was one of the mediators to help facilitate that. And it ended up being to the benefit of the film. But yeah, like even currently right now, unless you're at that top tier, then there's no room for discourse or discussion. But like in your mid tier and your independent sections and stuff, everybody's working with the common goal of just trying to get the movie made to the best of its ability with whatever resources they have. And so, people are a little bit more willing and flexible to hear other takes and other ideas if they can achieve the end goal. With Hollywood, it's more like, nope, we got these numbers, especially like in Disney and Warner Brothers. Got these numbers, we have these goals, stick to the program, do what you're told type of stuff in some cases. So it's not a one size fits all industry as much as they try to make it that way.
Yeah, exactly. And then moving on with the super chats. Ben Dowdy says, I hope one day good movies, TV, and comics writing make a comeback. Well, actually, they're here right now. They're just not there in the big leagues, aren't they, Script?
Yeah. Again, there's always remember George Lucas and his entire Elkin team, they were working before, doing their own independent stuff before the bigger players, the pop companies and soda companies that purchased some studios knew about them. They were. It just took some time for someone to say, hey, yeah, we like what these guys are doing, or we think these guys can do something. Let's give them a shot. There's always going to be at least 2 or 3 people in the industry that are looking for voices that are a bit more on the side of effort and ingenuity than just a work for hire stuff. But again, there's not a whole lot of money in that right away, especially right now with the current infrastructure of the pandemic and whatnot. But
I think the bigger problem
eventually.
is people are more worried about upsetting individuals that will cancel them. I mean, you have so many situations where you say the wrong thing or you disagree with one person, and they will dig up 100 other million things about you. I mean, to try and paint you in this fucking way, and it's just like, I mean, come on. And again, that's where I was talking earlier about the whole thing about I'm starting to see a few things come to a head here that hopefully will start to bring this thing to a close. I mean, when fucking Sharon Osbourne's being canceled and Gina's being canceled and women like that are being canceled and being called racist and istophobes, you're going to start getting enough people going, oh, come on, give me a fucking break.
There's that breaking point where it's like they're actually seeing the forest for the trees. We're like, if these people are canceled, then there's literally no line to cross. Like, it's already been crossed by everybody, and then it's just going to be ridiculous, and there's no even point pursuing it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you can only go so far with this thing, and even with Johnny Depp is another example. Like, I mean, the whole problem with that is in a normal world, we wouldn't even be in this place. Like, it would have been something that just would have been like, well, until there's some evidence, most people would have just not even talked about it. Most papers probably wouldn't even run with half of it outside of the tabloids. But since we're in this like era right now where it's, believe women first, don't worry about the fucking evidence, that's the problem that we have. And we have somebody like Johnny Depp who clearly has zero history of any of this shit outside of the heavy drinking and partying. Like, that's the only part of it that's, part of his history. But him being like overly violent or overly aggressive or any of these things are not things that have ever come into his, like you've never heard that before. And for her to come out here and try and paint this picture of somebody like this, it's like, girl, we've been watching this guy in movies and television before you were born. You're going to have a hard time convincing us of this shit. It's just, and regardless of what do you think of him personally and his politics and what have you, it's just like the evidence is not stacking up here, and we just live in a society where the evidence doesn't fucking matter right now, and that's scary as shit.
Well, it doesn't matter because, I mean, to some degree, you have news outlets that used to be news outlets, but they became media when advertisers started dictating what the content would be, because they're like, well, we can sell this time for commercial time for more if you have a more sensational story with more viewers. And once that became priority, instead of reporting on the news, you then lose what would be considered the news, right? And we're seeing that. We've seen that on the 24-hour cable news networks. We're seeing that in the normal news hours. And with the internet, it just exploded exponentially because it's all about getting those eyes on there for those ad dollars. And it's kind of a duck blind. They're failing to realize that while they are reaching more customers, they're also polluting the perspective of what those customers are to make, educated decisions based on information. So yeah, it's doing more damage than it is good.
So, Michael, did you have anything to add before we move on, or?
I did not on this particular one. No.
All right.
Yep. And then, you will like this one, Michael. Mr. Tickletrunk says, before you continue with this story, we're all not affiliated with Zack Snyder, and we also need to stop the practice of throwing puppies into volcanoes.
Very true. I second that. Very true.
Yeah.
I'm all for not, the volcano thing. No.
Yeah. Leave the puppies out of the volcanoes. And the Seaman asks, anyone think there's any chance the MCU will do The Punisher? From Mikey Sutton, I have heard that that is the plan, and not only that, Kevin Feige intends to recast, or not recast, but to bring back, what's his face, the guy who played the Punisher in the
I
Netflix
can't think of
series.
his name, but it's going to be one of those same actor but different.
No,
gonna
John
kind of re-
Bernthal. Yeah, John
John
Bernthal.
Bernthal, yeah,
But
gonna
he's going to
reboot him,
bring
kind of.
back the actor to play the MCU iteration of the character, meaning that the Netflix series, that never happened. But they're not going to redo the origin. So if you're a fan of it, you can, like in your own headcanon, pretend that happened. So I've heard that is on the plans. Will it happen? I don't know. I hope so, and I hope they're going to go all Max, all Garth Ennis, because we still need to see the Slavers done on in live action. But beyond that, I don't know. What about you guys, Michael? Do you think that the Punisher will be brought into the MCU?
If they're bringing Ghost Rider into the MCU, the Punisher will eventually somehow be brought into the MCU. He may be, and I know that Disney's trying to, like, in the metaphorical sense, whitewash everything, in this modern time. So the Punisher is not an easy character to reconcile right now in their pantheon. Maybe it's one of those deals where they end up, testing the waters with him on like a Disney Plus MCU series first and seeing how it goes. But I can't imagine they would leave that amount of money just laying on the floor. The Disney is mercenary first and foremost, and they're going to find a way to monetize the Punisher somehow.
Script, have you heard anything?
I haven't heard anything with regards to that particular take. All I know is that this is going to be the year where Marvel either doubles down with the direction they're going or starts to rework some of their phases, because they've got, I think, 3 or 4 movies coming out this year. And because there's already been a little part, what I learned in my meeting today is that, yeah, people are a little bit disappointed that that their Disney Plus shows are not doing or are not being circulated or discussed as much online and publicly as they were expecting for this year. That's the only thing I got from them today in the little gossip part of our meeting. But yeah, it would be awesome if they could go with Punisher. But yeah, with Michael, I think they're probably going to be walking very slowly towards that, given the climate of what the Punisher is versus what's going on today. So,
Dolph Lundgren or a mostly peaceful protest. That's all I'm gonna say. No, I'm kidding. Like, that was a joke, obviously, but like I basically know what Andre knows for the most part, and I'm assuming that's going to be the case. They're just going to bring in Bernthal, and it'll be a quasi reboot. They may not even comment on it at all. Like Andre said, they'll just allow you to go, okay, that's the origin story, you know it, but it's not necessarily something you have to know for this.
Exactly.
They may not even like do any kind of flashback reboot-ish kind of things. But we did get a quick special announcement here. The new Flash movie is called, you guessed it, Flash. Yeah.
That's so
Flash,
creative.
not Flashpoint.
oh man, they just repurposed the CW thing and gave it a little
That's
bit of
ridiculous. That's so disappointing. What the hell are they doing? They needed to call it Flashpoint. That's the most disappointing title I've ever seen, I think. I'm disappointed. They called the Flash.
Start low. It's probably going to be worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
Fight about it? You want to fight?
Yeah. God. Oh.
Just remember, this is one of the slowest moving productions for a superhero in Warner Brothers history.
Moving superhero, no less.
Yeah.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the joke is Warner Media. But yeah, moving on.
But that
we have a
could be
few
a sign
more
that
to...
maybe they finally signed somebody.
Maybe.
Well, let's hope.
They probably have enough people to start shooting, and then they're just and
Could
panic
be
mode
that.
to get who they would need for later on. I don't know what the
Could
actual length of the shoot would be. It probably might be 12 weeks.
But I wonder if somebody got the ouchie Fauci or Fauci ouchie, as Rob calls it, and maybe they're feeling a little bit better about things. Who knows?
Yeah, well, we'll see. And then House Atreides sent us 3 super chats in a row. And they say, in order, Midnight's Edge, thank you for introducing me to In Search of Tomorrow. I have been searching for a movie for 30 years, ever since I first saw it back in the 80s. I couldn't remember the name or who was in it, but there was a clip in the trailer, that plus the list of movies at the end. There it was, Heartbeeps, 1981. I'm so glad we could help you out with that. And
Got that movie. It's got Andy
consider
Kaufman.
consider supporting the campaign for it. Maybe we can run the trailer there before we leave for today. But we have a couple more questions first. Willie Woodward says, though people hate ads, if companies was upfront that it would allow them to make the streaming service free or low cost, would it work?
Well, isn't that what Peacock is kind of doing and Hulu started out as?
Yep.
Yeah, I can prove it can work because from what I've heard, Peacock's doing pretty well, believe it or not. They're not like way up there, but they're doing well enough from what I heard.
Yeah, based on the investment they made and the return that they're getting, yeah, they're in a sweet spot for the moment.
Yeah, well, there you go. And I think that if they provide a free alternative, and they're like upfront that look here's the free version or low cost version. It has commercials. You want to get rid of them, pay more. I think that's a fair model, but that's me.
To the point where we heard HBO Max is going to be implementing something like that as well.
Yeah.
Even though that didn't work out well for CBS All Access or Paramount Plus, maybe that has something more to do with what they're offering.
Yeah, I think that might have more to do with what they're offering. And then Stephen Otten says, how many of you spotted John Ratzenberger in A Bridge Too Far? Maybe it's a secret Pixar movie.
I did not notice that. Now I'm intrigued.
John Ratzenberger, yeah. John Ratzenberger, I think, was real young when Bridge Too Far came out, but he would have been in it because they would have shot that in and around England because it was the late 70s. So that's
there's only one way we're getting out of this camp there. If we blow up that bridge,
they say that
he's in Empire Strikes Back. He's in 2 Superman movies. He's in a lot of stuff.
A lot of bridges between here and the objective. So we gonna have to probably parachute across some of them.
In my expertise,
the bridge wasn't really invented by the.
And Andre's just like, huh? Because he's not a big Cheers fan, so he's not getting.
No, I get it. Post, dude. Yeah,
yeah.
I know the theory, although I haven't seen too much of it.
We love Cliff.
Yeah. And then on a somewhat related note, Hypergiver 2 says Lawrence of Arabia. He was an English guy. He came to fight the Turkish. Meep meep. Let's see who gets the reference.
Oh, I do. Wait, that is tickling my brain.
Yeah. Came to fight the Turkish. Is that a Monty Python?
Well, I'll send it to you in case there was something in my reading that.
No. I think my brain is just failing me because you gave me the spark. I can't think of it.
Yeah. While you think of it, Joel Rice says, off topic, your meat music in the videos is awesome. And then the last millennial says, script. Tom ruined my day earlier and said KK ain't leaving. From what you're hearing, is she gonna leave or not? Because I'm sick of the Lucas cult.
I don't see it really I'd be very surprised if it happened sooner rather than later. Like, I haven't heard anything to confirm that she's leaving yet from any of my friends in that part of the area. The only way I can look at it is like the farmer's way. It's like she leaves when she leaves. I wish I had a target date for you, but I don't.
So Sorry to hear that your day is still ruined. And to anyone that says like, "Oh, but you said that," no. Watch the video. Here's like a rule of thumb: when we posit a question in the movie title, the answer is always no. If it wasn't, you can rest assured it would have been there with like huge capital letters and everything.
Yeah.
There would have been a celebration afterwards.
Like, ding dong, the witch is dead, or something like that. But yeah, so if we have to put a question mark, the answer is no. Just like a spoiler alert. It's a general thing.
All right.
Yeah,
Moving on.
and then moving on from there, Ready Player 3 says, whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? I think that's problematic now, and it's a sign of white supremacy, just like math.
Yeah,
Yep.
due process is hard. We don't have time for that stuff. Just throw them away and move on.
Yeah, it went out the door with the Me Too era and all that stuff.
Yeah. And Stephen Otten says, obvious title is obvious. # I would be good at cinema since. And Dash D's says, is there a streaming leader at the moment? The best so far? Guys, who is winning the streaming wars? Who has the big one?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon and
yeah.
Netflix, I would say. Amazon and Netflix.
It's all about, you see, that's what's always weirded me out about the whole streaming revolution, is that there right now, this is not a surprise, the government can't keep up with all the new technology. They never have been able to. But when there was vertical integration in the film industry, all the way down the board, Paramount owned movie theaters briefly, and MGM owned their own movie theaters. They realized, hey, this isn't really working out well for the consumer. And so they're like, you can make your movies, but you can't own theaters and stuff. And now it's like they've gotten around it where they're like, we don't have to own theaters. We'll just have our own streaming services. While Netflix and Amazon, who are the legacy ones that have now turned themselves into studios, they were not technically studios when they started their services. And I just wonder when that regulation is going to catch up, and they're going to be like, hey, look, you guys can make stuff or distribute stuff, but you can't do both. I just feel like it gives them way too much draconian control. And it's going to hurt the consumer. It's already hurting us. So.
Yeah, indeed. And Script, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'm on the same mind as Michael there, because it just reminds me of the networks itself. It's like they own the networks own their own stuff. They produce their own stuff, and it worked a little bit for a while, but they realized they just couldn't reach the output they needed for the hours they had to occupy, and that's when they started bringing in other people to make stuff for them, and it was a lot easier to manage. And I think, yeah, that's probably, I mean, it's something to look at to see. Not so much predict the future, but to see possibly of a direction of where this could go down the road. Because as soon as right after Amazon dropped, and as soon as other streaming services started, like Crackle and Hulu, I'm like, this is turning into the exclusive cable package that you would have to buy, where everybody's going to be spending a lot of money on a streaming service to get pretty much the same quality of content to a lesser degree. And it's going to have a breaking point where people are just going to be like, no, they're going to cut the cord on the streaming side of things eventually, unless there's some sort of aggregate where another streaming service can actually buy licenses of various shows to basically turn it into an affiliate, so to speak, a streaming affiliate in the future, because people would rather have a little bit more variety and a little bit less of a hit to their wallet than having to shell out $200 or $300 a month to get all the streaming services, most of which you probably won't be watching as often as it's worth the expense.
Yeah. And on that note, Dixon Kuntz says, who is winning the streaming wars? The people who sail the high seas. Which of course we don't condone, but do protect your privacy with like a VPN, like maybe Surfshark if you have to, if you're there anyway. And with that, we're actually caught up. Tom, do you have anything to add to the streaming services? Tom has nothing to add to the streaming services. So with that, Michael, I would like to say thank you for joining us today. And the link of where people can find you is, of course, in the description. But why don't you tell the good people anyway?
Yeah, I thank you for having me. I always love being on Midnight's Edge in the morning. I've been a follower of your channel for years. Love your channel. So it's exciting to actually be a part of it on a semi-regular basis. I can be found on YouTube at youtube.com/retroblasting, facebook.com/retroblasting, Twitter as Retroblasting, and Instagram as Retroblasting. Our main content, of course, is videos that are on YouTube. So if you want to see our content and what we do, what we're known for, YouTube is the portal to subscribe to. And thank you again, Andre, for having me on the show.
Yes, excellent. Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on. We keep inviting you back for a reason. So there's always a good day when you are here. And of course, Script Doctor is our fifth Beatle. So it's always fantastic to have you here. Script Doctor, where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/scriptdoctor and on Twitter at scriptdoctorphd. But also, and follow me on Twitter because anytime I get the honor and privilege to come on this show, I tend to retweet it quickly. My phone's acting up right now, but yeah, just follow me on there. And I love partaking in the conversations with you gentlemen. And it's always good to see Michael again. I love his content. It's great nostalgia and great discussions.
Thank you.
Everybody
Appreciate
should be
it.
checking it out. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Script Doctor, of course, have great stuff as well. So do check out both of their channels. With that, I'd also like to say thank you to everyone that's been watching from here in the chat. It's always a pleasure to have you here. I would not like to say thank you to Tom's local internet provider. They're
Being
not
a pain in the
doing
ass. I don't
amazing.
know how well I'm coming through, but
Pretty good.
It's pretty good right now. Pretty good right now.
you guys are still underwater a little bit, but not as bad as you were. So
Yeah. Tom, can you send us off with some koalas in the rain, or are they underwater too?
hopefully they're not underwater. Let me see what I can do here if it'll work with me here. But yeah, I too want to thank Michael as always for being here. Of course, not only am I a fan, of course, I'm also I consider him a good friend. So it's always fun to get to hang out with him and chill with you guys in the morning. So there we go.
Yeah.
And
And
here we
this
go.
evening, you can chill with the ladies of Toxic Femininity. So do come back again for that in just a few hours. And they're going to have a great show, talking some Rian Johnson and everything else as well. So do check that out.
Indeedy do. So with that, no further ado, here's some koalas in the rain. Thanks, guys. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koalas in the rain.